Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are going over the Barry Morphew case today. I have two very special guests and hopefully a couple more that are going to join. Oops, we just lost Jules again. But we do have Jules with us. She will be back. And we have Martin with us, you guys. We're going to try and get to all your questions that you guys have. We're going to go over some stuff that has come out and see where we go from here. Barry Morphew has been arrested again in the redrum of his wife, Suzanne Morphew. As you guys know, a couple of years ago, he was arrested. The case was dismissed without prejudice. And here we go. Suzanne has been found. She was found September 2023. There's Jules. Welcome back.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Once her body was found, it opened up a whole can for District 12. So here we go. So welcome to Martin and Jules. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting us here.
You're very welcome. I'm glad that you guys are here. We are waiting to see if Kurt. I'm so happy to have you guys. We are waiting to see if Tube Crime joins, and we're waiting to see if my brother from a different mother, he joins. I'm hoping Kurt joins in. Okay, so what were your guys? We'll start with Martin. What was your first thought when you seen Barry Morphew rearrested? What was your first thoughts?
I was just waiting for it. You know, I had a very strong feeling it was going to happen. I actually said it just about a week, 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, that something's going to happen. I didn't think. I was delighted that there wasn't something around Mother's Day or her birthday. You know, I wanted it to be when they were ready. You know, which they are. Do you know what I mean? That Anne Kelly has everything in order as far as I'm concerned.
Every duck in a row.
Yeah, all the I's and T's.
And Jules, what about you? What did you think what was your first thought when you seen Barry was rearrested?
My first thought was finally, and then my next thought was, and wouldn't you know it, I was out of town when it happened. But I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know when.
Yeah, I kind of had, I don't know, it was probably about 3 weeks or a month. It was around Mother's Day, and it was like, I just had a feeling, and then it didn't happen. There was nothing, like birds chirping, there was nothing. Mm-hmm. And then I started getting wind that there was movement, and it was like, it's just rumor, it's just rumor. And then bam, we got on the 20th of June, he is rearrested. Everybody was saying he was rearrested on the 18th. No, that is when the grand jury handed down their indictment, but he was not officially arrested until the 20th. And he was arrested near the police department, which is ironic. And yeah, I was waiting for Jules to come out with something there because Jules lives pretty close to the area. So it's like, okay, I didn't see nothing. Is this a scam?
Yeah, if I had been in the state, you better believe I would have done, even if I'd been near Arizona, but where he was arrested. But I wasn't around in those areas, and I was rather bummed that I wasn't.
Right. So let's go. Suzanne's, this I think was the biggest turning point when they found Suzanne and the autopsy results. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah.
What was the biggest thing for you guys that came back in that autopsy? Like, I was kind of freaking out because it's like when they said bones bleached, now that could be either chemically or that could be sun-wise. I think more it's chemically because he's not going to leave her out somewhere where animals could get to her or she could be seen. So I'm thinking it's more some kind of chemical that was used, maybe in those coolers, and that there was no hair found, and that the biking outfit that was found with her remains had no sign of any decomp or anything like that. So I figure it was kind of like thrown in there to make it look like she was wearing that when she went missing. And we now know she was moved, and it did come out in some of my reads. She had been moved several times. So what did you guys think? We'll start with Martin. What did you think when the autopsy results came out? Did you think, bam, they got him?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple of things from the indictment that immediately, when I start reading the indictment, the fact that she was buried a second time, well, as far as they said that there was 2 different burial sites. I was excited because there was things that myself and Kurt, had looked at, and when the Suzanne's remains were found, those kind of things then just disappeared because we were thinking, all right, he must have buried her on whatever day it was, whether it was on the Saturday morning or was it on the Sunday, whatever. And there was certain things that we knew, like there was the Bobcat and the trailer at the house had been moved, and we had no telematics for it. There was things like that, and places where he had been. There was pings and stuff like that. So I started looking straight into that immediately. So when everyone was all getting excited about Barry being rearrested and all that, I was just digging in.
What about you, Jules?
Well, beginning with the autopsy, before there even was the indictment, looking at the autopsy, I knew right away that Barry was toast because of the BAM, because I'm knowledgeable about the BAM and knew that there were likely nobody else that had it in the area. And sure enough, that's, they did their due diligence. They, because it's very easy to once you get the subpoenas or whatever for it, it's very easy to get the information of who purchased BAM, who had it. And it's not like Barry's attorneys were trying to say where, oh, well, everybody has it. Everybody's running around with it. All the farmers have it. No. Barry was the only one that had it.
Well, what the document said was he wasn't the only one that had it. There was the department.
Well, he's the only one that had it.
Like
it was
personal,
unaccounted
right?
for.
Because they said that the deputy wildlife and that those people do have it, but every dose was accounted for. And Barry was the only civilian in all that area of Colorado to have it.
Yeah.
And
because there's really no use for it other than what he's done.
Well, I mean, for him, he said that he was, and I can see him doing it, tranquilizing the elk so he could steal their antlers if they hadn't fallen yet. And he did have an elk farm or something like that. So, was there a reason for him to have it at some point? Yes, but not.
Well, for transporting the
What's
deer.
that?
For transporting the deer, well, what he described, what he admitted to with using the BAM to take the antlers, that's illegal. Right. And so he was admitting to committing a crime in order for people to not pay more attention to the crime that he actually
Exactly,
committed,
because
which was killing
that's
Suzanne.
what he'd said too, that when he left, he gave a direction he went to go towards Broomfield, but the telematics ended up coming back that he had turned left. And turning left, it's like, okay, well, why'd you do that? Because down that way was where the helmet was found. And he says, oh, I seen an elk and I wanted to check for his antlers. Well, from what I understand, is those animals would have already dropped their antlers months ago. You know what I mean? And him knowing a lot about elks and stuff like that and antlers, we see that he was a fan of gathering those. He would have known that they would have already dropped their antlers. So that was another, big thing for me. It's like, no, that doesn't add up. But what we're seeing on screen right now is from Martin on X. And
Yeah.
this is what we're talking about, this bobcat in the trailer and how different it looked between, I believe the top picture was when he was taking it, Martin, to get the blade changed.
1 second now. I'll just have a look at that.
This top picture here, right
Yeah.
here.
Can the viewers see that? I just looked on. Are you sharing that with the
I
viewers?
could see it.
Yeah, I'm sharing it.
Okay, I can see it here on the. Okay, just in the
Oops,
chat.
why is it not coming up? Hang on a sec. Can you guys see the photos that I've got up on screen? Yep, they can see
Okay,
it.
okay, that's fine.
So if you can't see it, Martin, the picture
Yeah,
that I'm looking.
the top one. Yeah, the top one with the
Yeah.
bobcat. Yeah, on the
So
trailer.
that's when he was taking it to get the blade changed on the 9th, right, in the afternoon?
Yes, just around just before 2 o'clock.
Yeah, 1:55. And then down here, this is what the trailer looked like.
From the copter video.
Yeah,
So
when Suzanne had gone missing and they showed up at Puma Path, like,
that's where it was like that, because you can see it just before Barry
yeah,
goes into the house. You can see it. You get about a 1 or 2 second view of the bobcat where
yeah,
it is now, like that in that picture.
yeah, and it's off there. Like, he doesn't say, even in all of his interviews, he never mentions
No,
this. He
no,
never explains, okay, well, why is the bobcat off the trailer? Why is all this debris on the trailer when it wasn't just, before?
yes,
Like, from the time he got home with this bobcat on the 9th at
yeah.
1:55 or whatever it was, around
Well,
2,
well,
whatever.
at 10 minutes past 2 o'clock, the bobcat is disconnected.
Right.
From the disabled. That telematics have been disabled. So
Disabled. So,
whether he took out the SIM or whatever happened, but that was the last entry that we got, was that
yeah,
10 minutes past 2
2.
o'clock on the Saturday.
Right.
But he arrived home then at 2:43.
So he had like over half an hour.
Yeah, yeah. When
Once.
he when he left there, when he left DSI, he went down to down towards the beach side. He didn't go down to the beach side. He went that direction,
Mhm.
and he went to see. He said he went to see Kim's gym about another job, and then we see him passing the front of DSI again at about 2:30, heading towards Puma Path.
Right.
And we catch him on the next camera then at the Shell station. And then he arrives at Puma Path at 2:43. And then he drives right up to the door.
Mhm.
And that truck and trailer does not move until about 9:26 that evening.
Mhm.
The Bobcat could move because you could drive that off with no telematics, but
Right.
the truck doesn't move. And for him, he would have to reverse that truck, or drive it forward, reverse it and drive it forward to where it was located there in that picture.
Mhm.
And then take the Bobcat off and use the Bobcat to keep the 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 hitch off the ground. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we used the bucket of the bobcat, because there was no like a wheel or a winch. You know what I mean on the
Yeah.
on
Yeah, the
the
jack.
jack. Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's what I'm meaning. It's like what I'm getting at is between this, he does admit to going and getting the blade changed,
yeah.
right? But then he says he never mentions using that bobcat ever again for anything. Okay, because this second picture here that I'm showing with the bobcat off the trailer and all the debris on the trailer, this is when the police showed up. They got an aerial view of this. This is after Suzanne's already been reported missing, whatever they show up at the house. In all of his interviews, he never mentions taking the bobcat off the trailer or any reason for this debris to be on the trailer. He never mentions ever using it again between the time he gets it home and the time that Suzanne's reported missing, because he doesn't take this to Broomfield, which he should have, to do the job that he said he was going to do. This should have gone with him, but it didn't. And then when they get to the house later on, they're doing all these overheads with the drones or whatever from above. This was never mentioned.
Never
He
meant.
never gave an explanation as to why the trailer's here now, what the debris is on it, how did it get on there, why is the bobcat. He never talks about it.
I'd say, what happened there is they um, took the SIM out of the bobcat, so the SIM was actually put back into the bobcat if it was taken out, and they took the SIM out and they downloaded it, and they had all the bobcat information. And the very last time you see the bobcat is on the CCTV camera
At the
down
shop,
in
right?
BSI. And I'd say it just went out of their mind that the bobcat came back and there is in the yard or in his driveway, and they never thought any more of it. But I can tell you that bobcat, sometime between 2:44 and 5 o'clock in the morning, when Barry went to leave to go to Broomfield, in that window, between 2:44 on the Saturday and 5 o'clock in the morning, that bobcat was used. And
Right.
that, what you see on that trailer, I'd be fairly high. I'd say probably over 70-80% say that that's from the augers. Because when the bobcat is doing its work, whatever, it goes back on the trailer, you might get a bit of dirt, you know what I mean, off the wheels or whatever. But to get that amount in the middle of the trailer tells me that it's come off the auger. Because
Okay.
when you drill down with the auger, it's like a big spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a spiral bit basically.
Right.
And when you
It's like
pull
a
it
big
back
drill
up
bit.
again, like a big auger bit, yeah. And when the soil or whatever's on it, what they normally do is they drill down, lift it up, and then reverse back, and then they shake it, and all
Yeah.
the soil comes off, and then they move forward again, and they drop it down, and they drill some more, and this type of thing. And I think that's where that has come from
But
drilling.
it looks to me, okay, by looking at this picture, I don't know how well you can see it. Right here, these
Yes.
tire marks look like they came from here.
100%. Oh yeah, like he would have wherever he's done this, he's driven there with the truck and the bobcat, just like he did when he came in. When he came home, he went somewhere that evening. We don't know what time, because there was a certain time in the night when there was no there was nothing happening. There was no telematics, and there was just no phones. I think it was for about 3 hours. There was just nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And as Martin and Kurt were showing me and explaining to me, they educated me quite well on these the information that was or was not there, and then reading this indictment, it's obvious that Barry disconnected the telematics for the truck and for the Bobcat to make it look like they didn't do anything, but then he didn't connect them at the right time so that you could tell that they definitely had been disconnected.
They're trying to show
And-
that they're trying to make it look like nothing nefarious, nothing here to see, because look at the last telematic showed us here, and then look at it shows us leaving there. But what about that in between? Where it
Well,
was
yeah.
disconnected
Uh-huh.
and he messed up when he reconnected it. He didn't reconnect it again right at where he had disconnected it.
At
Right.
5:33,
Right.
he disconnected the battery of the or the power. Sorry, the power was disconnected to the telematics at 5:33 in the that Saturday evening.
Mhm.
And it was off for about 3/4 of an hour or something around that time. Then when it came back on, the truck was still in the same place. So whether he marked where the truck was and parked it back in the same spot, like, he's clever. I tell you, this guy is clever. Like,
Mhm.
at the time that it was parked, like, I forget how many feet, but there was a measurement where it was off, but it wasn't like
yeah,
super far off.
It was only off for about 2 feet. Yeah. And it was only one digit. It was only one digit. And the very last digit, instead of being a 3, it was a 2. And so the very last digit of the coordinates, you're only missing a very small amount of movement. But the other thing that, like, if you look at all the stuff that Barry does, he not only does he do something and say he's doing this, but he'll also add in like a photograph or a conversation. Keep the wife happy, going hiking and biking, and do you know what I mean? So he's always adding little bits to his story. He's building stuff up, and I believe the changing of the blade was part of the ruse, because he could have easily went down to DSI, put the blade on, a brand new blade on, and then when he came back, just took it off again and put the other blade on. Do you understand me?
Yep.
And then put the blade back on again, the new one, that night. So when forensics and everything were looking at it, it's dead clean. And we seen him bringing it down for this guy to put it on, put it on the bucket.
Right.
It's like
he overdid it.
Kind
Yeah.
of, because he left nuts and bolts inside the bucket and he left nuts and bolts on the trailer. It's like a guy, as I said before, it's like he's dropping breadcrumbs, along a trail.
Right.
He's showing you, we went here, we done this, we done that, we whatever, with his breadcrumbs. Like a hunter, like a tracker. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is so that's what I think there's something gone on there on the Saturday, with hiding our body or disposing our body on the Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one thing that I was wondering about first off was that there was mention of a bare footprint, a naked footprint, and I was wondering whether that would, whether they had gotten a size of that foot, because, like, was it buried or was it Suzanne's naked foot from him putting her in the bucket?
Because he was down by the river on Friday night. So on late Friday night, he was down by the river. And this is, I think, around 10 or 11 o'clock, off the top of my head. But it was after the friends' requests and all that sort of stuff. And so what would you be doing down by the river? And if we know now that he he was able to disconnect his telematics of his Bobcat, just like he was able to disconnect his telematics of his truck. We don't know how many times he moved. He was using that Bobcat up a Puma path and what he was doing.
Right.
He could have been preparing all week. Do you understand me?
Exactly.
Yeah, and Suzanne would have no clue. You know, like I'd say she never bothered venturing out into the woods, or do you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah, and just from sorry
Remind
guys.
me, I'm
Sorry.
just trying to get some pictures up here so I can share them as we're talking.
And the thing is, when Suzanne went on May 5th to Gunnison, that's when Barry was in the woods, walking away for about 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You
And
know,
what was he?
why,
What was he
Yeah.
doing? She
why
would have no clue.
she would have no clue. But I'm sure if she came home and she seen the Bobcat in the woods somewhere, it might say, "What's he doing in there?" You know. But
Right.
this was done when she wasn't around. Like he left his job down in I think he was down in what's the name of that place down near the big chimney stack down Smelter Town?
Gunnison?
No,
The
where he was
I forgot what it's called, where the
ranch.
smokestacks are and
Yeah,
everything. It's out there towards where
he
Not
bought
long,
the property there.
towards
not
the
Longhorn.
ranch.
Longhorn, yeah. So he was down.
It's near
He
there,
was
yeah.
down in Longhorn that day earlier on. You know.
Well, that's where he bought that property, right?
He
So
did, yeah. He bought that property.
okay, so let me
So
see.
And also he's
go on.
also I am aware that he is the person that was contracted to be moving the dirt around over there, making the pads for where the houses would go, and setting up the entrance, the stones at the entrance and stuff of Longhorn.
Right.
Okay, sorry, you guys. I'm just trying to get some pictures set up here. So this photo here, Martin, do you remember
Yeah,
this? You got this
I
on your
do.
apps. When we found, I had a woman contact me, and she says, "Oh my God, Willow, I went to the area that you had described that came out in my read, and we did that mapping and everything. And she found this cooler. She found, along with this cooler, because there was coolers missing from the Morphew home. She also found, let me just find that picture. Where did it go? Here it is.
The baby blue blanket, yeah.
See this blanket here?
Mm-hmm.
That blanket, if you look at it close, there's these little, what I don't know if they were, what's that show called? Not Pocahontas, but I forget what a Disney character. Anyway, it had that girl from, oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, that song. Oh my God. I'm blank. But anyway, it was a Disney character or whatever, and it was just in white on this blue blanket. There was like pictures of this, the one in the blue dress, and she had the long ponytail. What was her name from Disney? That Disney movie.
Mm.
Oh boy.
That recognize that's like a couple different Disney
She's a,
princesses. Oh.
yeah, but she had a really popular Frozen. Thank you, Fruit Fly. Frozen. It was
Okay,
her
Frozen.
from Frozen, but it was just like a white outline of her. It wasn't like a full-on photo of her. It was just like a white outline that was like scattered throughout this blanket. That was how it was bought. Anyway, that exact same blanket was found right by the cooler.
I had bleach on it, which when we're talking about bleach, it was bleach in around the house. There was in Suzanne's on the floorboards of our car. There was bleach on that blanket. There was bleach in the Broomfield Hotel. It's you know bleach is
And her
there for
bones were
hiding,
bleached.
and her bones are bleached. Yeah, 100%. So I was asked by this person that you who found this,
We
to
won't say her
see.
name though,
No,
because
we won't say her name now. But she asked me, is it possible for Barry to have dropped off those things at Sanctuary Park? And I said I'd look into it, and I spent about 3 or 4 days, and I couldn't do it. And I came back and I said, I'm a little bit short, probably about 7 miles short. But the time I could do the time, but not getting
the
there.
actual getting there.
Yeah. So about 3 months later, I was sitting on my home and looking at my Google Maps, and right in the middle of my map was Aurora, the John Schultz Ann Schultz Hospital, cancer hospital, and I was looking at this, and I zoomed in a bit, and I just went at it again, but I went at it differently. Instead of using the details that we were given, I used Bing Maps, all 3 different map companies, to get the distances from Puma Pad to Broomfield Hotel, and I'd done it via Sand Creek Park, and I got very close. So then I had to just tweak it slightly, and I can get you from Puma Pad right by Sand Creek Park and onto the hotel with minutes to spare and 2 miles to spare.
Interesting, eh?
Very interesting.
And my mapping that I did, and everybody like, oh, Willow, you were wrong. You were wrong. My mapping was right. It said Sand Creek Park, Aurora.
Yeah.
And that's where that's where this was found. And that's where the blue blanket was found.
And there was behind you, see, there was like a blue jacket or something like that. There was like a rain. See it there behind
Yeah, right here.
Was that? And there was also a suitcase.
The suitcase was in the water, though. She said,
I think everything was in the water.
That's very possible because that water went up and down.
Yeah.
Like a lot, not just by an inch or so, a lot. Because when she seen the suitcase, I says, well, try and grab it with something. So she got a stick and she was trying to pull it out. She says, it's too heavy.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, how else can we get to this suitcase, right? Because she did call authorities and they weren't interested. So she left to go and get some help and to get like a dinghy or something to get out to it. Now, when she got back, and there was one person she told about it, I said, don't tell nobody. Just me and you. That's it. Don't tell nobody. And she told one person, and I'm still pissed to this day about it. But anyway, she told this person, and this person was really interested, and this person was in the area also. And by the time she got back, when she seen the suitcase again, it was not like she had left it. And it had been open, and it was very easily taken out. So whatever contents were in that, somebody got to it and removed it before she could get back.
There's a lot of homeless people living down there underneath the bridge.
It wasn't a homeless person either. This is somebody that
No,
was very...
No, I'm just saying there is, like, I have another picture of that blanket taken from the street on Google Maps, Street View. Just as you go over the bridge, that blanket, you can see it on the ground from Google Maps.
Which one? This one or the light blue one?
The light blue one.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like hanging on a branch or something.
No. I'm talking about the one. I know the pictures you're on about. I have all those pictures, but this is on Google Maps.
Before Suzanne's demise.
No.
After.
No, but I mean, it's been moved. It's been moved from where it was when it was shown to the authorities. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I knew it had been moved. I thought you were saying, okay, it had been there before she was... And the thing, okay, so
No,
this is
no, I'm saying they didn't take it. I say law enforcement didn't bother with any of this.
no, they didn't even
No.
bother with it. They came out finally, but they didn't do anything with anything. And this is the thing that I found with that tree. Now, this is long before Suzanne was found. We did another Google thing. When I found out he had a friend out near Moffat on the other side and something about a golf course and all this shit, because he used to be an avid golfer. And he threatened years ago, Jeff Libler, he threatened at a golf course.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, but when I was going around that area on Google Maps live with my viewers, I said, I'm drawn to that lonely tree. There's one lonely tree in the middle of nowhere, and that's where she was ended up being found. But at the time, we had no clue. And I said, I'm being drawn to that tree. And it's weird because it's almost like, to me, I feel like he left markers where things were so he would be able to find it easier, refind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, that's how it felt.
A marker. It'd be like a marker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like there's people in the chat here saying, I remember that, Willow. And it was just like, I thought it was interesting to go out that way because of his friend living out there and the golf thing and all this shit. So, and I was kind of making a joke about, okay, everybody back on the wagon. There's nothing here to see. You know, we were going up and down in the mountains. And when we came back out, I said, look at that tree. Let's go see. And I said, I've got my whole body just a shiver from top to bottom. But I don't believe she was there at that time. You know what I mean? So to me, it was like, why am I getting that? Because if we go by the affidavits, they don't believe she was there at that time.
At what time?
When I did that live.
I'd say she was probably moved there before Barry sold the house.
Really?
Or she was moved to another location before being moved out there to Moffat.
Yeah, true.
Because I believe he used chemicals to do what he did to her remains. So he thought that that would take away any remnants of the BAM.
Yeah.
Why would he leave her monitor thing on? You know what I mean?
Port, yeah. 100%. I'm saying that he wanted her found because he would have got the money then, you know what I mean? Because,
right.
You know, she's found out he can go and claim. But the thing is, he must have fell over when they were talking about there was bone, BAM found in the bone. You know?
Well, interesting you say that, Martin, because it seems to me like this is when all the frenzy started happening. If you go back into the records in my last live, I don't have it up on the screen now. Like I said, I'm never prepared. But I went over in my last video how he started transferring all the money and property and businesses and everything into Mallory's name. Yeah. And Mallory's the one that showed up in court, not Macy. And it's like Mallory has control over everything. And which brings me to the second thing is now he is claiming he's indigent. I have no money. I need, paid lawyers and this and that. And there's a problem because there's a conflict of interest in one DA or whatever. In one office, there's a conflict. So they're going to a different office and they're hoping that they allow David and the other one to Jane or June or whatever her name is to still represent. Yeah. And she used to represent the kids in the first trial. She was their lawyer.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get.
She was brought in quite early. Drew was there when she was brought in. So, and her expertise was with domestic violence and getting people off, that are accused of domestic violence.
Martin, a question for you here. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Hi, Martin. I wonder, did Barry ever buy chlorine tablets Suzanne requested for Barry for the hot tub? I don't think she ever requested it, but I'll let Martin.
Yeah, well, she asked for, what She didn't request it. No, I don't believe she ever did. That was Barry. That was Barry pretending to be Suzanne, texting himself, basically using Suzanne's device and texting himself. Pick up hot tub stuff for the hot tub, and that was that Saturday around, I would say, about 11:15, about 10:45, or between 10:30 and 10:40. 10:45, and he went into the Poncha lumber into that store. So you see, this is what I'm saying about Barry. Like, he always, all these calls that went to Suzanne were all part of the story. So there was, do you want to go biking? Do you want to go for a hike? Do you know what I mean? And then there was the Suzanne one to him while he was down at the beach site, which said, "Oh, up near the Little Rainbow Trail, the house for sale." You know, so that aligns then with the night before they went looking at houses. You know, So all the the phone conversations on Saturday, between Barry to Suzanne, and from Suzanne's phone to Barry, and from Suzanne's messages to Jeff, the only one that was normal was Jeff's calls. And even those were a little bit strange. I think Jeff knew that he wasn't talking with Suzanne.
Right. So here's another one from Artsy Mama. She says, "Don't forget, someone's seen him coming out of the woods by the fire station with a headlight lamp on late at night. His truck was parked by the station."
Yeah. Now you have to take this
with a grain of salt.
Yeah, because that was Shosho's ex-fiance.
Right.
That was conveying this message, right? About the headlamp and all those things. And who would have been in his ear? Because when Barry was talking to they were asking about the last proof of life, who would have seen Suzanne apart from you on Saturday, and he said, what about the two people that seen her on Sunday? Well, that was Shosho and her ex-fiance. What's the chances of the two people that happened to see? Was one of them Barry was knocking around with, and then it was her ex-fiance. Like, come on, do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I would take that as a grain of salt, but it could be true as well. So you always have to leave it on the shelf and just sort of say, and what they were saying, they were up the mountain, kept down the mountain path, and he had a headlamp on, which was, first I thought he had a broken headlamp. And then I was thinking, no, it's the ones you put on your head. He was on foot,
Yeah.
But he did mention a vehicle parked by the fire station, and I wouldn't put it past Barry. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I think we have to also, all those things have to be looked at and come into play.
They got to be put in their place, and they got to be revisited.
Yeah,
when other things that come up where it could fit.
When new evidence comes up, and I do this all the time. If new evidence comes up, I will down look at the evidence and I'll say, well, this then can't work. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to turn around and say, well, something else must have happened.
Well, it's the same as when about the Sand Creek. It's like it didn't fit, but then it did.
Yeah, well, I tried hard to make that fit when I was asked, and that person was kind of a little bit disappointed because she thought, that it was involved in the from the murder and whatever. So, but I just went back at it and I just sat down and I I'd done it a different way.
Mhm.
I took away the information that was being put out there, and I started from fresh. Looked off the telematics. I looked at the odometer readings and all the information that we had about different times. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Time when he was seen on CCTV cameras in the morning, time when he was seen in Johnson's village. Then there was the phone text message to Suzanne in Bailey, and added all those things up, plus the time he arrived in the, and that was it. You don't need all the information.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I
Yeah,
knew.
and
I knew. My cards told me. I knew.
Yeah.
yeah. And before anyone tries to naysay by saying that, well, Martin was using a map and all that, after he mapped it out and showed how it worked, I actually went out and drove the route and checked my odometer and everything and saw that it did go exactly as Martin
Wow.
said.
I did not know that, Jules.
I didn't know that either. Go
Wow.
Jules. See, Jules is
Yeah.
out there. So it's like,
I'm a crazy car
right.
Yeah.
person. Any excuse
Go and
for a
check out
ride.
her channel, you guys, because she's got a lot of this and her travels that when she went out looking at specific things, she went to Longhorn, everything. Jules, Another Day in True Crime. In Another Day in True Crime. Go check her out. Give her a sub here on YouTube. But she goes out and she drives that area, and it's like go Jules. And I'm thinking to myself, you're one crazy bitch. I ain't going out there by myself with Barry still on the loose.
Well, he had
Yeah.
given them a route.
I'm just like, try me.
He'd given law enforcement a route, and that's kind of what I was walking off that route. And then I was going along Colfax Avenue all the way down as far as Pretoria, and then up to Sand Creek Park. And I was just short every time, just by, I can't remember. It was about, I think it was about 6 or 7 miles or something. And I'm saying, God, there must be another way around this. But then I was thinking afterwards, he doesn't want to be seen on motorways, through tolls and stuff like that. So I just followed the 285 all the way till I got to Sand Creek, and stayed on the 285.
Yeah.
Basically, all the way to about a mile away from Sand Creek Park, and then turned off. And it gets you there a couple of miles to spare.
Yeah. Martin, was it ever confirmed Suzanne's bare footprints in the bucket of his bobcat? What does it prove, if anything?
Well, you see, that could come into it. You know what I mean? And first, for them to say that and not have photographs and a ruler sitting beside that,
yeah,
would be disgraceful. And it's a bit like the Sand Creek Park stuff. You know what I mean? It's too late now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't go back. We can't even go back and get samples of the dirt or anything from that trailer. It's like it's long gone. It's missed.
Yeah.
You know, so Flyer B says, Jules, love tagging along on Jules' road trips.
Yeah.
It was like I would watch them and it's like, Jules, you're crazy. Girl,
No,
go.
I tell you something, there's a lot to be said about that.
Some people just say unhinged.
No, I tell you, I'll admit to this. Mommy Rambling. She used to do these trips, going out buying thrifting. You know, she'd go about 30 miles away with, I can't think of her, Scooter, was it? Scooter, I think, her friend. And they'd go into the store and they'd be picking up all stuff. And I just happened on this channel and I was saying, where are these people going? And I was in the car, going off with these two women and listening. I was just trying to figure out what the crack was, you know. And so I said this to Kurt, people would pay for that stuff. They will watch people driving here and driving there. Just
well, especially they want to see with their own eyes. And that's one thing that Jules did. She brought people as close as she could to certain areas that, I mean, especially for me, I'm up here in Canada. You too, Martin, you're across the pond there. It's like we would never see this with our own eyes if it wasn't for, you know, a lot of the things that Jules did. And it's like, I remember the one trip that you were showing that place up on the hill type thing, Jules. I forget where it was now. It's been so long ago. But just some of the places you went and how close you got to Puma Path and everything, it's like, oh my God, he's got guns, Joel.
Why?
You know, like when Kurt went out there with Adventures with Purpose, and then they seen these guys with the guns and everything, and it's like, like they hightailed it out of there. Like Kurt, he was pretty brave, but
Yeah.
Adventures with Purpose, it's
Mhm.
like, oh hell no, we're out. Forget this shit. We're gone.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you guys really put yourselves out there and brought us firsthand so we could see with our own eyes what people were trying to just describe in words. It's not the same. You know what I mean? A photo isn't the same as driving along with you. So I really commend you for that. You did a really good job. But this is
Yeah.
Shoshana. If you guys aren't familiar with the case, this is on the left here, right here. This is Shoshana. And I believe that there was something going on with her and Barry long before
Well,
this.
this conversation we were having earlier on about her ex fiance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, his house was right next door to the fire station where Barry worked,
Mm-hmm.
right where he was volunteering. You're talking 23 yards between her back garden and the building that Barry was in. So while she was out laying out in the sun and Barry was out rolling out his hose and whatever he was doing, you know what I mean? You tell me that
He
she
wasn't
was
copping
beating,
of you.
yeah, and she was doing cleaning for George, who's Barry's best mate, remember?
Right.
George. And
Well, it
she
was
was
also said that she apparently cleaned the Morphew house once or
she
twice.
did. She did once. After the first time it was in like where we see the bobcat there in the trailer,
Yeah.
where Barry went off to Indiana, and they had the property. When they
Mhm.
handed it back, I believe that she went in there and cleaned up in there.
Mm.
So was she just contacted, or was she already bed buddies? You know what I mean?
Right. Because
I
the
believe
story, I don't believe the story that she just happened on him at the dumpster,
no,
you know, and
no.
that was another big issue. Let me pull up
Just the
those photos. Whoops. Let's stop sharing that. Let me pull up, hang on a second. I've got other photos here. There's that one. Whoops. Get back up there, you son of a gun. Hang on. Can you tell I'm not good at this? But apparently I can hack WebExes. Okay, this one.
You're doing that. I'd like to say that I think in Barry's, the way he likes to talk too much, he kind of gave away that there was more with Shoshana, or that he at least knew Shoshana at the time of the disappearance, because when he was being asked his different
suspects.
Scenarios, his different suspects, he said the housekeeper's daughter and boyfriend. And how would he know who the housekeeper's daughter and stuff like that were if he didn't know who the housekeeper was?
Right.
Exactly.
See, this is part 2 here where you can see Barry. This is outside of the Holiday Inn there in Broomfield, where he stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's stuff on the ground. You don't see him with all of this stuff. I'll bring up that photo. Where the hell did I just put it? Hang on.
Like, that's heavy. That stuff he has there is
okay,
heavy.
So here it is here. This is what he ends up coming in with. But he's got a backpack on. He's got some stuff in his hands, but it's a lot more than what he's being shown here. Now, there's 5 places all around Broomfield where he disposed of stuff. And he says, oh, I was just cleaning out my... Why wouldn't you have done that at the dumpster then, where you met Shoshana? You know
Look,
what I mean?
there's more. There's more than 5 places.
Mhm.
Like just in where they were doing the wall, where he parks, the first place he parks is right by the dumpsters, and they had X amount of dumpsters. They had ones for wood, ones for plastic, ones and then one for just waste. So
Mhm.
they had it all. The building contractors had it all sorted. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And that's where the first GPS coordinate we have of Barry going to the wall is right by those
Mhm.
dumpsters, right by them.
Well, this is okay to
Then he
answer
stops there.
your question, Artsy Mama. Do you think Shosho will be called for prosecution? I think so.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion, but I
yeah,
want to bring up this, especially now that she's no longer with Barry.
yeah.
This is what he brought for the guys and for his crew to work on this retaining wall. This retaining wall, you guys, was huge. It held back tons of dirt and rock and whatever. You would need bobcats, backhoes, everything at that site. Number one. Number two, he went there. He wasn't supposed to leave until that night. He left early in the morning, which pissed off the employees, and he didn't bring anything that they would have needed for this job. So that was another ruse right there. Regardless if you want, oh, look on the cameras, you see me bringing in tools. Those tools are going to do, that's for like somebody's garden, like their little flower bed in the front of their house. That's not to do a retaining wall.
Well, it was not to do what they had to do. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
on top of that, the city officials said absolutely not. He was not scheduled to work, and let alone he would not be scheduled to do this work on a Sunday.
No.
So there was
Yeah.
that. You know
And
what I
even
mean?
the Bobcat
Yep.
would have needed a backhoe attachment to
Right.
do that job, because basically what the other company done, the subcontractor or the contractor he subbed from, they came in and they dug the whole lot out down to the foundation and rebuilt it up again. Do you know?
Yeah.
And that's what should have been done, because what Jeff and Morgan and Cassidy were doing was like putting a band-aid on a missing leg. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Caroline says, Willow, you're blacked out. What do you mean I'm blacked out? But here's the house. Here's some of the property around the house. This is the stairway coming down from the back of the house down to that creek. And I still say that creek was involved.
Yeah. And where you're looking here now at that picture with the staircase, where I'm saying that he went down to the creek was to the left of that,
Right, over past
towards the
here.
RV,
Well, here
park.
it is coming in. It's towards, wait a minute. It's towards
You're right as you're driving
this
in.
way. Yeah.
On your right as you're driving into Puma
And you
Park.
could see fresh tracks there.
Yeah, fresh tracks, 100%.
Like when you seen it on from the drone footage. Oh,
Yeah.
hang on a second here. Hang on.
Like there was even an elk carcass there.
I just seen 4 up there. And never mind. I thought it was maybe my brother. But no, it's me showing my other screen. I think he's here. He's just not saying nothing. But yeah, so I still believe that creek is involved.
Yeah.
I really do. This is looking down at the creek. This is looking out to the driveway. So the house would be like over here, and here's the house.
Now, the other thing I was going to say, what we've been told is that what was buried in Moffat was a skeleton, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And there's a couple of ways of getting a skeleton. You know what I mean? You can put it somewhere and use chemicals and whatever, or you can cut away, separate the meat from the bones, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
And Barry was an artist at that. And that's what he could have been used in the river
Yeah.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you can dress out a deer, you can dress
That's
out a
right.
person.
100%, Joe.
And maybe that's why I was being drawn to that river, because I was saying, look at, um, it's nothing for him to dig, put her remains there, put the dirt on top with, throw rocks back in there, and the water's running over top of it
Yeah,
until he could do something else with those remains.
well, Kurt spotted there's a bridge that goes over the from the Morphew side. If you're following down towards the RV park, there's a bridge further on down.
Yep. Yep.
And right next to that bridge, there was some round boulders, and so we had a picture of that from that was in evidence, I think. And then so Kurt flew by there with the drone, and the two of them were different.
Yeah.
You know, the earlier photograph and the photograph.
I think I have
drone,
that. Yeah.
the drone footage. It was slightly different. You know what I mean?
Let me share this with you guys. There we go. We'll share it.
And there was pings down there on the Saturday as well. Remember, he said that Mallory had shot a turkey.
A turkey or a goose or something, yeah.
No, a turkey, and he went looking for the turkey beard.
Right.
Right. So.
And he's saying he's looking for that sometime after she supposedly shot it. And by that time, there would have been decomp on the turkey and predation, and there wouldn't have been a beard for him to find.
Right. So all of us, like, it's like you said about the elk, like the elk weren't prancing across the 50 with their horns, because, as you said, it was the rutting time wasn't that time. You know what I mean? That wasn't. It was a made-up story. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't believe Barry ever took a left as he came out of the 225. There's no telematics to say he turned left. What was down there was the blue shirt that Kurt found.
Kurt found, yeah.
The helmet
with the holes not in it.
Yeah, the helmet.
Is this the bridge you were talking about right here?
Oh yeah, come. So you have to go. Is that north? Is that right?
This is
No,
okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple here.
Right
I know.
there, yeah. Stop there now. Stop there.
Right there.
And now go back. There's a blue spot, and you've highlighted it actually. There's
right there.
No,
bridge. That's the bridge right there.
Yeah, that's it there. See the stones to the left of that now bridge?
Yeah.
Zoom in. See just to the very left on the other side of the bank.
Yep.
See them? Little pile of stones?
Mm-hmm. I do. Right over
here. There. That's it. That's where he believed that was moved. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, because two different when you see the two different views, something's changed.
Yeah.
Things have been moved.
Yeah. So why would it be moved? The only reason we could put up is that she was buried there and then it got at after.
And the thing is with this too, there's an ATV trail along here.
There's a couple of trails down there.
Yeah.
There's
See, I was
right
drawn to this too over here. I just found it odd, so that's why you see me put odd. But if you look, I'll show you what I mean. See these blue markings here?
Yeah.
That's where, if you guys remember for views that were still... Okay, before we get to this, Strawberry Wine has a comment. Martin, could he have done that to her body inside the whole hotel room? No.
No,
he would never have tried to get her inside there.
When Barry left Puma Path, everything was taken care of.
Yeah, it was done.
Everything was done, prepared. And even
and it was just evidence that he was getting rid of, not pieces of Suzanne.
So if he was getting rid of stuff like the stuff that was in Sanctuary Park, I believe that was stuff that was contaminated. The blanket was probably used to carry her or whatever like that. There's bleach, the blanket. There's bleach in the box. In the that rain top could have been there to seal,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. And so he couldn't bring that to Broomfield and get rid of it. Do you understand
No.
me? Because
Well,
that's
absolutely
big.
not.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine he's driving through Broomfield and you got an overhead camera
And you
showing
get,
what's in
or
the
you
back,
get stopped.
or you
Huh?
stop. But even if it's just showing a video of a cooler in the back of Barry's truck,
Right.
can you imagine that would have set off alarm bells? Do you know what I mean? If law enforcement see that, so that's why
Yeah, just like with
he probably would have got rid of that.
Patrick Freezy,
Right.
Yes, crazy. Yeah,
and he knew about Freezy, so he would know not to be seen on cameras with a tote or
Anything.
a ice
Anything that
chest. Yeah.
shouldn't be in the back of a work truck. So this here is where we had gone on our little route when I found out about his friend living out here. So we went up, and this is for those of you who were with me way back in the day. I kept saying, okay, I got the horse and wagon because we can't get up here with my car. So let's go, everybody on. And we were going up through all these little um, crevices and whatever we could find. We'd zoom in like this, and you could tell if dirt had been changed here, if it looked out of place. Anyway, when we were done that, it was like it was a shot in the dark to me. And then when we came back out here, I forget how we came down. I think we went over to his friend's place over here and then came back down, came back up. Anyway, so when I got to this area, it's when I seen that tree. Let me see if I can get here.
all right. Yes, here we are.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we get back down here, it's like there's nothing, you guys. He's not going to do anything near houses. So we're looking this way. And I'm going, what's this stuff? So we're going down the road, and we're checking out these places here. And nope, that's too close to a business or a home. He wouldn't have stopped there. There's a house there. So we're going and we're going.
2 miles down there. Yeah, 2 miles.
Right? Hang on. I want to get back out of this. Hang on. So we're seeing all these buildings and that. And it's like, no, he ain't going to do nothing that close. We seen this little thing.
Yeah.
And we're going. And we're going. Yeah. And we're going.
And there you go.
Wait.
Yep,
I just went. Yeah. So anyway, so let's get back here. So we're going down this road. And then I'm saying, what the hell is that? And this tree is a lot bigger than what it was.
Yeah.
Now, because, well, this is 2022. So this is 2 years later. There was like, is this it, you guys?
It's the next tree. It's the next tree down.
There was one lonely tree.
Yeah, that's around the homestead down there. But it's down.
I've got it marked on maps. Hang on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
There it is. So as we're coming down the road and everything, because we kept looking at these things, it's like there's one lonely tree.
Isn't it funny? Like that is just.
And it's like, and that's where I marked, and I said to everybody, I just got body chills.
Mm.
And it's like, that has to be looked at. I got body chills. And that's where she was found, on this side of the road right here.
Yeah.
Right by this sign. So right in this area somewhere is where she was found, by this first sign here. And it's just like, to me, it's like a marker, like that blue blanket hanging, by that tree, or by that tree, the cooler, you know what I mean? It was a marking. So he remembered where she was, because if you're just driving down here, there's nothing. There's nothing. Like, you could easily miss this spot. You know what I mean? If that tree wasn't there.
100%. It all looks the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I got chills, and everybody in chat's going, oh my God, Willow, oh my God. But yeah, so I remember that. And then it was like, how likely is that? You know what I mean? And Barry had been right here. Barry had been right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you leave and come out, you're brought out like right here, not far from there. So did he say, aha, there's a spot, there's a marker? You know, I mean, who knows what that idiot was thinking, but it was wild. And yeah, with
I got.
the
I believe he knew that area very, very well.
that could very well be because he had a
Yeah.
friend out there, right?
He had a friend very close.
And
Very close.
here's where I had
Yeah.
marked Sand Creek.
There's also a hunting area
Yeah,
near there.
that's it. The hunting grounds. They were on. There was two different permits, one for one side of the 17 and one on the other side, and I believe that's where he went hunting.
And
Yeah,
this is where my maps had brought us, is right here.
So he wouldn't have had to stop. He would have stopped at the bridge and just jumped out, engine running, and just tossed the cooler and its contents and the suitcase. 2 items is all he
Yep.
would have to throw into the river, into the creek, and the creek was probably could have right. That's it, Peoria Street there. Look,
Mhm.
he just stopped there, and if you go down to Google Maps there, you might even see it, the blue blanket. If you go down to Google Street, if you click on
Street
it,
view. Okay,
Street
which
View,
side? Oh yeah, okay. I see what
yeah,
you
that's
mean.
right. See, but it's that road,
This here?
that thing. Yeah, actually, you couldn't do that before. Zoom out. Are you north? Are we looking north here now? We are, aren't we?
We're looking towards Broomfield, I think is a little
Brookfield.
bit to the
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
yeah, go back to there. Have you got into Street View on the Peoria Street? Peoria Street, yeah. Just click
Yeah.
on there on the bridge. Just there. Click on this, the blue line. Yeah, there. You can see down there to your right. It's a different view now, but see right down there, you were able to see it. The blue blanket was on the
Okay,
ground.
this is 2024.
Yeah, this was around 2020. It wasn't snow there when I seen it. It was in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you could see
See,
there was lots of rubbish and whatever, garbage all along there. But you could see the blue. I have it on. I have a screenshot of it.
now I know there's a way that I could go back in time and look at other. I just don't
Yes,
know how to do it. And
I tried
that's
to do that recently. I forgot how to do it as well.
I forgot how to do it, but I don't think I ever knew how to do it actually. But yeah, that's what I'm saying when they were saying, "Oh, Willow hacked in and we've cleared Kurt now. It's Willow in the Great White North or whatever the hell they said." I got the transcript of when he went and spoke to the judge. Anyway, it's like I can't even figure shit like this out. Like I was talking to Jules before you jumped on, and I said, I hope I can do this because I've never done it before on Restream. I used to be able to do it on StreamYard, but not on Restream. It's the first time. And it's like, I'm going to screw it up. I know it. But yeah, I can't even figure out how to go back in time here. I thought it was just clicking here, but it won't let me. I don't know. But yeah, it was down here.
Right
But
now, it was right down beside, right. As you are now, you're looking down right beside between the fence rails there. It
mhm.
was right close as you could get to the curb, of the bridge.
Oh,
That's how
down in
close.
here?
Yeah, right down, right, very close. You
I
could see
thought
the
it was
blue
by the
blanket.
tree.
No,
Or
it
maybe
was
it's the way
no,
the picture
no,
was
sorry.
taken.
It was by the tree. It was a log, but I'm talking about on Street View.
Oh,
Time
okay.
after that, you know what I mean? Maybe
Okay.
a year later,
Yeah.
it was down by the. So, because I said to myself, I'm only looking to where he would have parked. You know what I mean? I was and I just
Yeah.
said, my God, there's the blue blanket. I couldn't believe it.
But he could have parked anywhere along here.
It's very hard to get access in there. There was a bridge, a chain across or something.
Yeah, but not now.
No.
When is this map? This
And
is
and you
2023. See,
and
you
now
couldn't
you
get down here before.
no exactly. You can click on that now and you
I
can
can
have a look
I
around.
can
Yeah,
I can go on it now,
yeah. You could before.
but you couldn't do
See,
this before.
So turn around, go the other way. Go the other way towards the bridge. You might see that blanket. Yeah, because go there.
That's as far
Keep
as I
going.
can go. That's as
Oh, is
far
it?
as it'll let me go. Yeah.
Because
See, it was right down the cooler and that and the log and that were over here at one point.
yeah,
Yeah, you can't get. This is as close as I can get now.
yeah, I might have a look at that later. Yeah.
This is
Didn't
November
realize.
2024. So
Yeah,
you can go this way, and
yeah.
this way this is as far as we can go. But still, it's a lot closer than what we were able to get to before.
So it looks like they've cleaned it up a bit, actually.
Yeah. Oh,
See,
look at I can get right
yeah,
there.
right between the two. Yeah, click
I
on
can
there,
get
right between the
right
two.
here.
Now turn around. See up above. You can see where it's they've done all the painting on the wall up there.
Yeah.
Turn
Here.
left. No. Go back.
Right
There.
here?
The next. Yeah. That's, I think, where it was. It was close to there, but on the other side. On the other side of
Yeah.
the bridge.
On this side, yeah.
But like you could, I remember seeing the
Well, let's go this way a bit
the
and see if
art,
we can't see underneath more.
and there was lots of like looked like somebody had been sleeping there, and they were probably using that blanket as a bit of.
Well, there's stuff over here under the bridge too. It looks
Yeah.
like.
So that was there, and I have the picture somewhere. I seen it recently.
Oh, look at this is somebody on an ATV or something. Because look at down here. That's not the Google car.
No. Yeah,
So this
you
is
see
somebody
that.
on an ATV taking these, and
Yeah.
maybe just. Oh no, there's the Google thing, but that's weird. Looking back at this one, see, you can kind of. Anyway. But yeah, so that's the area that I got when we did the
And if you go forward,
pendulum.
if you go straight ahead up Peoria Street, then that brings you onto the motorway. That brings you straight to Broomfield. So it's just very easy for him to jump on straight from there,
Yeah.
and onto the there it is. What's the name of it? The 25, is it?
70.
Oh, is it?
This one,
70?
70.
Oh, 70. The 70. I thought it was the 25.
And it brings you right over.
Onto the 25. Yeah,
whoops.
onto the 25. Yeah.
Well, actually, the 30. It looks like the 36 goes all the way up. So this would be like the 270. There's the 25 right here.
270 onto the 25 and into Broomfield.
But Broomfield's over here. It would be onto the 36 that goes up to Broomfield. See, here's Broomfield right
36. You're right. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
you're right.
36 comes up into Broomfield. But the 36 comes all the way down. It goes from the 270 to 270 turns into the 36 right here.
Thornton is where the 25 goes.
Yeah.
There was something in Thornton as well.
Yeah. And it's funny because in one of my reads, it said something about the golf disc course.
Oh yes, that's right.
And then that's when somebody had mentioned about the golfing thing. So that's why I said, well, wait a minute. Isn't there a golf course out near where his buddy lived out here? And then we started looking into that, and we found it where his buddy lived, and that's right here. Her body was found right here. And his buddy lived right here. And there's also some kind of golf thing out there. Let's see if I can find it. Crestone Needle, Blueberry Peak. I don't know. Stables, Temple, Cottonwood Trailhead. I don't know. I forget. It's been so long.
Gosh,
Sacred Land Signary. There's a campground. But there's something about, because why did we come out here? Could have been just his buddy, and they were seen.
No, I'll tell you why he went out there. It was the locations on his
GPS.
GPS locations where he was.
Yeah, that's it.
His party was there at that house. Yeah, Gail. What's her surname? Gail Morgan. Gail Morgan lives there.
Yeah, but somebody had said they seen him out this way too.
Yeah, that's
and that's what sent me. Yeah, that's what sent me
lives
on
right there.
this trail here, why we went up and we started searching all up in this area. And then somebody else said, no, Willie, you're in the wrong spot because that's where his buddy lives, is right here. Is
No,
somebody he knows.
no, that's the Morgans up there. But
Is
on
it the
that road,
Morgans?
the Morgans, yeah. But on this straight road that brings you back into Moffat, you pass by another property belonged to a friend of his, a really big property, like
Yeah.
750 acres, like.
Yeah. But yeah, that tree, I will never forget that day. Never forget that day.
And while Barry wasn't talking about Suzanne or a female at all, he has gone on record also saying that, if he had to dispose of a boyfriend of one of his daughters, that he would put him under a tree.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
So that just shows that he likes
Yeah.
trees.
Well, to me, I think it was a
and monkeys or
marker.
whatever.
So he would remember exactly
Yeah.
where she was. And not right under the tree, but really close to it. Only he would know, oh, no, not right under. Because if somebody really wanted to investigate that comment, right, they're going to go and look under the tree. They're not going to go look where she was found. They're going to look in and around that tree. So,
Yeah. And I also think that it's possible that he went there and made the shallow divot where her remains were, and then after it was dug, put the stuff there and
Yeah.
covered it, sort of.
Could have easily, yeah, he could have easily. But the other thing is, Jules, like if you're only burying bones, do you know what I mean? You're not going to get really a lot of scavengers and stuff. And even if they did, isn't that what he wanted? Her to be found?
there was another.
I think he wanted her
to
to
get that insurance money. He didn't want to wait. Like
because if it was a skeletal remains, why bring the port? Put the port in there,
right?
You know what I mean?
He wanted her identified. He wanted her to be
100%.
found. He didn't think the band would be in her bones. He thought it would be in the tissue, and the tissue
So was her
gone.
hair, because it could be found in the hair follicle too.
And that was when you think about it, you know.
There's somebody you remind me of, Merton, that went out there. Oh God, somebody sent me one of his videos, and he's I think he's across the pond too. But he came out here for this case, and he went.
Yeah, is he South African? Is he? Is it rocket science? Is it?
Yes, that's him.
Yeah.
And he went out here and he kicked around that dirt and he got like a little divot just by moving his foot. He says the ground here is so soft. It's not like a hard rock ground.
Yeah.
Where she was found.
And if you pull this up the scrub brush, if you pulled it up,
it's sageweed, right?
Sage grass, or whatever it is, sage bush, is it? But if you pull that up, do you know what I mean? It wouldn't need much to dig. No. And look, what does Barry do for a living?
It would, right? And it would leave, you pull up one of these bushes, it's going to leave a hole.
Yeah.
So say there was a bunch like this.
Yeah.
That he pulled up. There's your hole. You don't even got to dig.
Yeah. It wouldn't need, but even so, like Barry would be able to dig a hole in minutes.
Well, we know he had the shovels.
Yeah, shovels and pickaxe. It would take long at all, and it's not as if anyone's around. So, yeah,
and the only reason why he might dig a little bit would be to try to make sure that those other things that he planted there, the clothing, to make sure it's stuck around near the bones. Because that's part of his story and everything, and needed to all be found together to follow his storyline.
Eddie says, how long do you think it took him to move her to where she was found? I think it was done, like Martin said, before he sold the house.
Yeah, and that's if she was in the vicinity of Puma Path. Like, let's face it, there's a good photograph. I think you showed it earlier. I'm not sure of Shoshona and Barry at the storage unit.
Yeah, I have that. Hang on.
Like that. Do you know what I mean? If you had bones basically
Oops.
inside, if you had bones inside chemicals, you know,
Oops, that's not
and
it.
it was sealed a tote or in a what you call it, a cooler. Do you
Right.
know that happens all the time?
Mm-hmm.
People find remains inside storage units.
Oh, this is
Mhm.
something else I wanted to bring up too. Everybody's saying that wasn't Mallory that went to court. Mallory has the blonde hair. So here's Mallory with her
They
blonde
changed.
hair.
They changed
But
the hair.
if you look, yeah, if you look at after Barry was released, um, dismissed without prejudice, this is what she did.
Yeah.
And I think that Barry requested that because she looks so much like her mother, especially with the blonde hair. She looks so much like her mom there.
Yeah.
And this is her now with the dark hair. And then this is, and Mallory is smaller, thinner than Macy. Macy's a little chunkier. But this is Mallory going to court. This is that lawyer, David Beller.
Yeah, I'd say that's Mallory. It's hard. It's
That's
hard.
Mallory.
But
That's like
I'd
if
say
you
it's Mallory.
not so much in these photos here, but if you go back and you look at the difference between Mallory and Macy, Macy is a lot chunkier. She's got bigger
She's
legs.
broader. She's broader anyway. You know, broader
Yeah,
across the shoulders. I mean,
that's right.
that's
So you
exactly
can,
that's what I when you showed the other photo. That's what I went by. That
yeah,
Mallory's a bit more petite. I think. I mean,
yeah.
He's the one that's been most vocal and fiercely defending Barry, but she's also the one who uh, signed on
yeah,
the thing to get Barry to be the
executor.
executor and stuff, and you know, to have guardianship over
She also
Suzanne.
saw. She also
You know,
held all his bail the first time he bailed out
yeah,
with her mother's money.
and you know,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
and exactly, and she's just been, you know, the beneficiary of pretty much everything. I'm not sure what all Macy's gotten. I think maybe the place in
well, that was
Indiana,
no, that's
but
under Mallory. We already looked into that.
that's Mallory
Yep,
also.
and that
Okay, so
home is where Barry Morphew's mother used to live. I don't know if his mother passed away. That's something I want to look into because I think she has. But Macy was living out there in Indiana with Barry's mom, and
She's still
and
there.
then moved back with Barry. Mallory, I think right now her condo in Gunnison is up for sale too, but it was a quick claim to Mallory, the home in Indiana.
Would it be an awful shame now
wow.
if those two girls end up being broke over him going paying for his new team?
Well, he's claiming indigent. He's getting
I know, but
everything is under Mallory, so they can't touch it. Everything the businesses, the vehicles, the homes, the property, everything is under Mallory. Not Mallory and Macy, Mallory. Now, from what I've been told, is Mallory is the one that went hunting with her dad and all this stuff and had no problems killing animals, and where Macy was the total opposite. She
she
didn't
was
want to
younger.
see that stuff.
Like,
Yeah.
like
And she was an animal lover, right? She didn't want to see dead animals.
you see plenty of them in Puma Path,
Right?
every wall.
Yep. That house in Puma Path did not scream a woman at all.
No.
But Macy, if you see Macy's bedroom, it has none of that in it. You see Mallory's bedroom, it's a spitting image of what her dad wanted. The antlers and the heads and of elks and stuff like that, of things that are dead. You know what I mean? The same as the rest of the house, throughout the whole house. It was nothing but death,
Yeah.
except for Macy's room.
Yeah. And I went and interviewed a few people that knew the family in both Indiana and in Colorado. And people were saying that it was like Mallory was always daddy's girl and Macy was mommy's.
And that's what pisses me off, Jules, because Macy said, Mom, just get a restraining order, divorce him, just get away from him, get a restraining order. And she denies it.
Yeah. That devastated me.
The only thing is,
but then, you know, it was there on camera, and her body language looked like she was under duress when she was like, "Oh no,
I
no,
think
there's
so
nothing
too.
bad,"
Like,
and Barry squeezed her
she was
hand,
only
and
16.
and
she was only 16.
right.
You know?
And Mallory looked at her.
Right. And it's like she depended on her dad and her sister for everything because she was only 16. Like, how was she, like, if she turned back then, and that's why I think, this is why I don't think anything is under Macy's name. And I may be far off base and I may be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. I think this is how they're controlling Macy right now. Everything is under Mallory's name. Barry was still out until he got arrested. And I believe that because of that, Macy still had to rely on them for everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if Macy wants anything, she better stick to the game plan.
Yeah.
Because Mallory now is in control of everything.
Yeah.
How far does that go? How deep does it go? Is Macy gonna snap? Realizing, because she was closer to her mom, is she gonna finally say enough's enough? Because she would have a wrongful death suit, right? And she could go after her share of that to kind of help her out through life. But I think that Mallory and her father are holding funds over her head. Like, you ain't gonna get a damn thing.
Yeah.
Unless, you know what I mean?
You play game.
Yeah. You do get that vibe. If you go back
look at
and
her
look
face
at
in this picture.
I forgot. Yeah, I didn't give her face in the picture. Yeah.
But both of them actually look like they're in caught the headlamps there, you know.
I don't get that from Mallory through this whole friggin' interview. It's like she would start to say something and she'd look over to her dad like, am I doing good, Daddy? Am I doing good, Daddy?
My dad would never do this.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And she looked at him, which I thought, it's enough to say looking at the camera without looking at him. You know what I mean? Like, how she could keep talking because she obviously knows. I mean,
she sees in her purple I can't say the word, you guys. Don't laugh. Purple vision there. She can see what's going on right beside her. And she don't dare look that way because she's probably been told, don't look directly at me. They're going to say that I'm, giving you a look or something, right? But in her purple vision there, she can see.
But there's nobody knows Barry better than them two.
That's right. And I think Macy is terrified of him.
And who knows how hard he squeezes the hands, because he can give messages that way
100%.
too.
The first thing when I seen that, when that came out, I said, he's controlling them here.
Right.
A little squeeze, yes. You know what I mean? Don't say that. You know what I mean? Because there was something said wrong there. I can't remember what it was. But I think it was...
there was a slip up,
Slip up. I'm not sure it was... I'm nearly sure it was Mallory that said it in that interview. Something was a slip up, if I can remember rightly.
Thank you, Fruit Fly. I still can't say it. Purple vision. She wrote it right there, and it's like, nope.
Peripheral.
Thank you. That's it. What Martin just said.
I was trying to think what you were...
I like that.
Yeah, I was trying to think what it was, and then it just came to me. Peripheral vision.
I don't know why. And I'll get tongue-tied like that. I don't know why. Like, especially reading court documents, I know the word, and it's like, it's not coming out. Forget it. You know what? We're just going to skip that. And then I'll go back later and read the word perfectly, but it's like, yeah, it happens. It's like, I'm trying. I'm trying to speak, and at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, I can't forget. I should write shit down, right? But I forget to
Have
write
you
shit
got?
down.
Can you put up Suzanne's last proof of life photo up on the screen?
Yep. Hang on a second here. Let's get rid of. That's the one of her laying on the towel.
Yeah. Well, all you see is her bikini top, sunglasses.
Hang on. I think I know where you're going with this. Okay, let me find it here.
Like, it's supposed to be a selfie, right?
Right.
And there was 2 weeks before, April 20th, there was the famous photograph of Suzanne with her fist to her side of her head in her blue top.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah, well, if you put them side by side,
Okay, hang on.
if you want.
Hang on a second.
So they're both taken. There's a lot. She took a lot of selfies, but
This one here.
so yeah. So that one there, that was
Okay, let me grab the other one. Hang on.
that was the one that Barry said, "Oh, on our birthday, which was on the 30th, saying, oh, I wish I looked as young as you did." Blah blah blah. Back to her, which I don't believe that happened either. But and the other one is.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that other picture. Don't forget, I'm on a new computer here. Okay. Oh my gosh, there's so many pictures here. But yeah, I know the one you're talking about when she's apparently laying out back. That's the one that she apparently sent to Jeff Libler. And
it's got an exhibit mark on the bottom right-hand corner. Red exhibit mark.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't find it. But this one,
it's in her exhibits. Have you got her exhibits? The people's exhibits prelim, the B.
I do have it on my other computer.
Oh right, okay, all right.
Like I said, I'm trying. I got to get an external drive and put everything on that so I could just plug it into this one. And this one here, it's like this fancy Nancy dancy computer.
You'll find it on Google anyway. If you just Google Suzanne Morphew, it'll come up.
Yeah.
And
if you Google them, you will see that her hair is completely different. In the proof of life photo that's supposed to be around the same time as her last photo here, and it just didn't make any sense to me when I saw it.
You're talking about the one she's laying on that towel?
Yes, you don't see her.
That's the one I'm looking for in Google, and I'm not finding it. But don't forget,
images. Suzanne Morphew. Just look under Google
that's
images.
What I'm doing. Suzanne Morphew. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Now see this.
Oh
this
shit! Wait a minute. This one.
Jules, you see that picture we're looking at there now?
Okay.
Jules.
Save image. Save. There it is. This one?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
All right. So that one and the other one, they're only taken. So that was.
I'm trying to get them side by side here. Hang on.
Less than 3 weeks apart.
Apparently.
Well, apparently, yeah. But taken with a good phone. You know, she had an iPhone. Was it iPhone 7? I can't remember now. But a good phone, an iPhone would be a good phone, even now. And if you zoom in to those two photographs, and now zoom in the other one.
Okay, hang on. Let me move this one over a bit because it's going to go bigger.
All right, zoom in this one. And now, can you zoom in a little bit more on that one, just so it's the same size as the other one? That's it. Now, can you see her mouth?
Yeah.
Do you see anything about her mouth? Now, both of them are taken with her iPhone. And look at her left eye.
Oh, I see the difference in the left eye. It looks like it's swollen up here.
I mean the eye itself. they've been laid in.
Yeah, because look at the dark circle in the middle, the
Like
black.
look at the color of her eyes in the right one, which
That's
is
what I'm
taken.
saying. This one looks like there's a big black dot here.
It's
Like it's not just the
blue.
people.
It's
Yeah.
it's a rectangle
Yeah.
of blue
Yeah.
put over, and if
Top.
you zoom over top, and if you zoom in on the very left eye, not that's the right eye. Now go to the other one. See the eye
This
is
one
missing.
or this one?
No, that one there, yeah. See the inside of the eye is missing,
Oh, you can see the outline of the square right here.
and you see the eye actually goes over the hair.
Yeah. And it's oblong. It's
rectangular.
bleeding down into this.
It's
And then
Yeah.
her
it's
eye,
one
the corner of
rectangle.
her eye is
missing.
covering all the white.
Exactly.
Like, see how she's got a big spot of white here?
Yeah.
In here, the
You
outer
haven't.
part of her eye here is covering that white.
It's listen to it Willow. It's what you see there is this has been cropped.
Photoshopped.
Off,
Yeah.
Well, Barry's done this himself. Like he's cropped it off another picture.
Yeah.
And he's
Well,
put
you can
it
tell
over.
you can tell just by the corners of the eye here how it's covering the white. It shouldn't. It should be like this.
Yes.
With the white
But
showing, and it's
but
not.
not even that. Look at the pixelation everywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's what I just said. You can see in the pixelation, you can see the square.
And look, follow the square over to the left across the hair.
Yeah.
Go to the left. Keep going left. See the hair?
Yeah.
It goes across the hair as well.
Yeah.
So this is been taken.
But you can
from
see
somewhere
the
else.
square here.
And
where
why
it's
would you do
pixelated.
that? Why would you do that? Her eyes could have been closed in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the right cheek, her right cheek, yeah, there on the right hand side as we look at it. No, sorry, the left cheek.
This
Look
one.
at the pop. No,
Yeah.
sorry, the other
This
one.
one?
Yeah. See the jaw. See the marks distorted
Mm-hmm.
on the right of the picture. Look at on the other picture, not distorted on the other picture.
Yeah.
And the other thing now
Nothing's
is
distorted here.
nothing.
Nothing is distorted in this
and
one.
you can keep zooming in, and it's not distorted.
You're not going to get that
People are
distortion.
telling me that it's pixelation and everything. It's not. This has been photoshopped.
Yeah.
Not only has the background been removed,
So's her mouth.
her mouth is totally wrong.
Look at-
And her chin is
Even
right.
the nose isn't even right.
No, in the middle of the nose is gone over. That's a strip down the middle.
Well,
of
look
another
at
nose.
how wide this looks from the center of her nose. Look at how wide this is out compared to here.
Actually,
Yeah.
one thing I would say, Willow, I have copied. See the face on the right.
Mm-hmm.
I have copied that. The eyes. I drew a map of the face, and then I transferred the map of the face onto that last proof of life face. They're identical, even though you think the nose is wider. The nostrils are in the exact same place. The mouth
What about
is in the same place.
look at this? How far
It's
open
missing
this is compared to here.
Yeah.
Like here,
So-
you can see her teeth on this side, but here it's like a big
Nothing.
void here, like it's been
Yeah.
stretched out.
Yeah, it's
Even here,
Yeah,
like look at how her neck
And-
comes
and-
down
and the
here to her
hair.
shoulder.
look
Yeah,
at the hair. See the hair on the left.
yeah,
Now look at the photograph of the other one. The hair not down near her body. It's that dark color.
Yeah.
See it here.
yeah.
It's like it's been taken from here over there to cover something. Is that covering his hand? Is he holding her face? Or
Well,
her back
look
of the head?
at even here, Martin. Look
Back
at
of the head.
here's her neck. Look at this area. That's not the same as here.
No. It's in the same. It's
Wow.
in the same spot.
Look
but
at
she's
this
lying
bump
down-
here.
That's the port. The bump is the port,
But-
right?
Look at here. You don't see it there.
Well, look at the wedding ring. And what hand is it on?
Oh, it's on the right. If you turn around like
Flip
she is and
You'd have to
face,
flip it.
yeah, the photo's flipped.
Right. And there's a little on her neck, under her chin, there's a little birthmark. There's a little freckle. On her,
I don't know.
on her-
It looks like it's
on
been
her-
removed right there.
no,
Look at
no. On her neck, on the right.
right
yeah,
there.
See it?
right
It's
there.
on. If you look at a lot of our photographs, you'll see that little mark. You don't see it. It's difficult to see it on that one.
Yeah.
But I've been studying that for a while. There's something definitely wrong. An expert needs to look at that
And
photograph.
why
Why?
would you
Proof
do
of life.
this?
He needed a photograph to
Yep.
say that she was alive.
And it
Otherwise,
was too cold for her to be laying out in that.
no, it wasn't actually. I thought it was, but
Okay, so
I've looked into.
Baby doll has a question for you, Martin.
Okay.
So Martin, are you saying she was unconscious or dead for the original photo and then Barry photoshopped it?
Yes, either beaten up, bruised, black eye, maybe busted lip. God, I'm not sure, but there was
Because you can
something.
see in this photo where there's a square around her mouth
Yeah.
right here too.
Why would you do that?
Why
Why
would
would
you
you
do
do that?
that?
Exactly. Why would you do that? And the eyes, and the one on the
Even
right,
here.
the eye is actually really overdone. It's like a cloud's been put over it.
Yeah.
And when it's down, when you reduce it, like we've seen it in different photographs, it looks okay. Do you know what I mean? But it's not till you start to look into it. Just a few clicks of zoom and all these patches. There's one in her hair. There's a round circle in her hair
Mm-hmm.
on the left. It's like, I don't know what it is, on the very left
Yeah.
of the photograph, level with our teeth. If you go across, keep going across on the left. That's odd. Whatever that is odd in her
Because it
hair,
looks like hair has been put over top of hair.
on top of hair. And that is so easy to do. Like I've done a lot of this already, so I've played around with it. And you're talking about seconds. You can crop out eyes from the photo on the right, and you can put them on the photo on the left.
But the main
And
thing of this, though, Martin, the number one thing is she would not have been outside sunbathing it was cold out. It wasn't warm.
well, I think he might have brought her out. Do you know what I mean?
Whatever he did,
And
he's saying, oh, she was just laying out there sunbathing. No, she wasn't because it was too cold to do that.
and the other thing is, well, we don't know whether she was lying on our bed because the background's been removed.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? She could have been inside when this photograph was taken.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's nothing to say. You have to forget what Barry's telling us, because
Right.
he was asked about 6 times, where was she laid out? And he said, oh, at the house. He wouldn't say where she was laid out because they were saying that they were struggling to see the location by the photograph of where she was laid out, because the house is green, not white.
Yeah.
So the background is either woods, you see the trees, the woods, you'd see something. As you spin around, if you go around to the right, see the 2 doors, the 2 panels there.
Yeah.
That's where the chairs were. They're just
It's right
2
here.
trellises. Trellises on
And
the
he
wall.
says, oh, I used my dart gun that day. I was shooting chipmunks
That's the
through the
breezeway.
through the
Yeah.
breezeway.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. So now I see that, the chipmunks are coming back for vengeance. But it's like, who shoots dart guns at a chipmunk?
Nobody.
It,
Nobody.
it,
Not even Barry.
Gee, I'm assuming, and I'm only assuming because I don't know. I assume that stuff. It's not legal to own it unless you have a license for it. Number one. Number two, I'm sure it's very expensive. Who is going to use expensive darts when you can use a BB gun or something to shoot at chipmunks?
Oh no, he wasn't using he wasn't using the BAM to shoot the chipmunks. No, it would be a really good shot.
Right?
Like, if you hit, they showed there was some guy came out and he done a reenactment, and he said, like, you really be hurt from being hit from a dart. Do you know what I mean? The mind. I'd say he used the BAM, but I'd say he put it into a port.
You think so?
Injected it into the port, yeah.
Yeah, but
That would be the easiest one.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
if he tried to do that, there would
Because
be
it
a
has
lot
to
more
be.
injuries on him than what were. Let's go and see those. Let's go and see the
Well,
injuries that Barry
you
did
have
have.
to. Barry so strong that he could just hold her down, sit on top of her. You know, there could have been a bit of a fight. She might have got a smack in the mouth, you know what I mean, or whatever. And he had to touch up the photograph.
There's one, and then his hands.
And if she was banned, maybe her eyes were totally dilated or something like that, or you know,
Yeah, but
and if
if you
she
say he put the BAM in the port, he would have already. She wouldn't be all loopy yet.
yeah,
You know what I mean? If he was
yeah,
fighting to get, I think he'd have more injuries than these. Like she would have been fighting for her friggin' life.
yeah, and she probably hurt his legs because we know he was limping around the place. She
Hope
probably
she kicked
kicked
him
him.
right square in the cojones.
Yeah, hopefully.
I hope to
Um,
God I don't even want to say
like
it.
when Grusing asked Barry about the see from the look at the last, he didn't even want to look at the photograph.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you think the first thing if your wife was missing, it was the first thing you want to do? Barry looked at the photograph and he said, "Well, look at her. She's obviously drunk. Look at her eyes. Do you know what
And
drunk
funny
eyes
how
look
he
like?"
pointed out those eyes,
Yeah,
right?
because they were obviously uh, to him they looked odd, even to him. But he says, "Do you know what drunk eyes look like?" He added, "I mean, who would say those eyes are drunk eyes?" I
Even
mean,
when he shows up, like when the neighbor calls him, he says that he was on the job site, which he wasn't because we know from 12 something in the afternoon until he left at 5 to 6 or whatever. He never left that motel room, but he lied and said that he was on the job. But anyway, when he got back that night and the police were all there when they found her bike, when he gets out of the truck, you got to watch that video again. When he gets out and he says, "Where's her bike?" He's
yeah,
pointing right to it.
yeah.
Where'd you find your bike? And he's
Well,
got his hand out
what's the
pointing right
chances
to
of
it.
him parking his truck exactly where the bike was?
Well, because that's where the cops were, right?
No, they were walking. No, they were walking up. He was driving down. George was there, not
Or
the
I knew
cops. The
somebody
cops,
was there. Somebody
no.
was there.
So you had Miles's mom. She was parked up and she was walking down. Barry's truck, it was already past her. He opened the door. George opened the door. Big bro hug,
Yeah.
and then he comes out and he's going, You found the bike. You
But
found the bike."
when whatever it was, he said that. When he said it, I remember from the video, his hand is pointing directly to where the bike was.
Yeah. And then George
That's
says,
one thing I remembered about that video. And then them touching the bike.
yeah, but George says, oh, it was just down the embankment down there. And
And he says, "A lion, lion." No,
yeah,
no.
that was the cop. The cop turns around
Yeah.
and he said, yeah, the funny thing was, he said, there doesn't seem to be any damage on the bike. And then Barry says, lion? And the guy says, yeah, it was lying on the side. And next
Right.
thing, Barry says, no,
A
like
mountain lion.
a lion, as a mountain lion. And next thing you see, Miles' mom, she puts her two hands to her stomach and she goes backwards and she says, I'm looking for my husband and my children. You
But the
know.
thing is, if it would have been a mountain lion, you would have seen
Ah,
struggling marks and blood and everything else going. Uh, that was another thing. When he said, "We've already looked all this way," the way he pointed was
yeah.
exactly the way she was. And I said right then and there when he said that, when I forget who caught, I don't want to say no names, but somebody caught him on video saying, "Well, we've already searched all this way for miles." I said, "That's the way you've got to search."
Yeah.
He's telling you which way she is. And that's the way of the creek, and that's the way that she was found in that direction.
But I'd say, like, if they have the mileage of the Range Rover, right,
Mm.
and they have the mileage of Sue, or his own, which we have, he that she had to be somewhere close by. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
You know,
I'm telling
short
you, it's the
distances,
little creek behind the house.
either in the creek or in the woods. What was he doing in the woods? What was he doing
Right.
on the day she went to Gunnison to drop off Macy? What was
He do it
Barry
in the
doing it
woods.
there? Because
Yeah.
Kurt is 100% sure that he was drilling his over in the woods.
Well, yeah, and we seen the spot. Kurt showed the spot and everything.
Mm.
Like I said, I think she was moved multiple times. I think that as things start, and this is going to be gross, and I hate that I say it, but
Well,
I
Jules
think as
asked me.
things started getting to the point where, okay, let's go hide that now because we can bury that now. Let's go hide that over there. Let's keep it separated so it doesn't get contaminated again. You know what I mean? That's just my thoughts, and it's
Mama Jules asked me a while back if I thought that she was moved, and I said no. And and the reason I didn't think that she was moved was because it's so risky. You know,
right.
it's
So's
risky
killing
enough.
your wife.
Oh, I know, but I mean, but it's risky enough to bury her once.
And
Do you understand?
you gotta remember this though too, Merton. This is at the height of COVID.
Yeah.
Nobody was going out anywhere.
Well, people
And
were
if
allowed to
you
walk out
were, right, but you were
into the
staying
woods.
away from other people.
Yeah.
You didn't have people coming and visiting. So, which gave him more opportunity not to be seen because people weren't coming and going and visiting and rushing out to do groceries 3 times a week. They were getting enough for a couple weeks so they didn't have to, expose themselves in case. Like this was a very heightened time. So it's like the campgrounds were shut down, the bed and breakfasts, the motels, everything was being shut down, which gave him the opportunity not to be seen, like as if everything was all right and everybody was going about their daily business because there was no pandemic. You know what I mean? There was very limited people. I think he felt more than comfortable because of that.
Yeah.
And I think he took advantage of the pandemic to pull this off. Like people weren't being looked for, people weren't going and visiting, so nobody was really going to miss her. Oh no, because of her cancer, she's staying at home. She doesn't want to take the chance of getting this. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he used that pandemic too. I believe that wholeheartedly as a reason why you're not seeing her, because
Yeah.
she can't risk it with being a cancer patient.
Like she was at a party on May 1st with Laura and Susie down in down down near Ponce Springs, out to 285 there.
Mm.
A belated birthday party for her, and Susie, I think, it was her birthday as well. And so she told them at the party that she was proud of Mallory and blah blah blah, and that she was doing Barry's books, which was going to work like a bridge between them.
Mm.
So by saying that, this was out at that time. A week before, openly she was talking about that she was moving on.
Yeah,
You know, and like
we lost you.
all day Friday was all about Suzanne was leaving. Without a doubt, I'm leaving you. Finally, it's over.
Yep,
That's what Friday was.
done. She was done.
Yeah, like she rang him for 25, 27 minutes, I think, on Friday morning around just after 10 o'clock. And like when you think they hadn't spoken the phone for like 7 or 8 weeks, or 14 weeks, 13 weeks, I think it was, any communication
Right.
before May 4th. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was no communication. All of a sudden, there's all the calls on the Wednesday, I'm done and all that stuff. And then the Thursday there was nothing really, and then on the Friday then there was the same thing. Barry going crazy, trying to get hold of her, and then there was that 27-minute phone call. I think it was around 27 minutes, and then a few minutes later, a text from Barry saying, "I love you, Suzanne," and that was it. That was it, folks. That was Barry. I love you, Suzanne. An hour later, he was up at Puma Pratt. 100%.
Jules, what was it like in that area around that time? Do we still have Jules here? Or did we lose her?
She's there.
She's
Hello?
there. Jules, hello? Jules?
Yeah,
What was the area like at that
like,
time? Like for people going out and about and moseying around like they usually would?
well, I actually had been camping near there like 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks before she vanished. There was a couple of, I guess they might have been vagrants. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't get too close to them that were out there, but pretty much there was nobody out there at first because most people were going to be waiting for that. It's just us diehard outdoors people that would be out there. And you know, it was pretty, you know, he could have it's a pretty good bet that he would not have been seen doing anything by anybody out there.
So do you think he took
And not
advantage of
even-
this as an opportunity? Do you think that?
Yes, and I think that but I think he already had the idea to get rid of her before they even came to Colorado. And I think that you know, they moved to Colorado, and then she was battling cancer at that time, and I think that he was hoping that she would not beat it. And then she did beat it, and you know, what's he gonna do
So
then?
moved her
And
to
then,
Colorado to
you know,
isolate her even more.
yeah.
With
Yeah.
the intent, like, I'll get
And-
her to use this money that she's got to buy this home and it's all going to be mine.
Yeah, exactly. And he totally wasn't counting on other people caring. He wasn't counting on Suzanne actually being an individual person. He wasn't counting on her you know, starting to question things, questioning what he was doing. He didn't expect her to, you know, get her backbone going on and say, hey, you know, I'm not living like this anymore.
And to tell other people in the area about it, like that she was
and
done.
Yeah, and he was you know, she was complaining to people about him. He, you know, it's not, you know, or just kind of alluding to it that you know, it was at the end she was done. But he thought that she wouldn't, because he had always been trying to keep her all private and to himself, and so she even, I don't remember who it was that she texted somebody, I don't remember if it was Sheila or somebody else, but she texted that Barry was asking her if she was talking about their relationship to anybody else.
Yeah. And it didn't take him long, right? Once she was just missing, he got rid of her vehicle.
Yeah.
He got rid of her clothes. The house went up for sale all within 6 months. What if she came back?
Yeah. Right. That was all huge red flags that, you know, all these different things went down. And one thing I wanted to say about the it's something that the boys pointed out about the telematics also, and that's that there are no telematics showing him turn left there because he hadn't had them turned on.
So
they didn't turn on until he was like 3/4 of the way to Broomfield.
So do you think that when they interviewed him and they threw that at him, we know you turned left. Do you think that was just something that they made up just to see how he was going to react to that because they found the helmet that way?
Oh yeah, definitely. And there's, you know, there were a couple other things too where they told him that they had this down, but
they showed him a couple
they
of the
didn't
things,
actually.
Jules. they showed him a map with
Yeah.
there's a couple of pings from his phone and Suzanne's phone.
Yeah.
And like Suzanne's phone last ping was up basically near Garfield from the information that we were given, which was 11 and a half miles from the Poncha Tower, which brings you exactly to Garfield. But we've already had, if you look at the forensic building, we know Suzanne's or Barry and Suzanne's vehicles were in that forensic building. And I have one of the pings is about over 2 miles away.
Mhm.
And that's actually one on the telematics. It's up there, the Apple Doctor's house. And there's other ones down in the near the lumber yard. There's a lumber yard down there, and they're all over the place. And that's because the truck was inside the building with a metal roof. So when the forensics turned on the opened the door or whatever, walking on, and the GPS is giving a signal, it's trying to find it. Do you understand me?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that could have easily happened. Now it's happened a few times because there's one down in not Cave Creek, Weldon Creek. There's a GPS down there, and then there's one up in the mountains, across the 50, up near the mines, and that couldn't be there either because a second beforehand it was in Puma Path, and the next second it's way over there. So that ping at 4:23, I don't believe that ping happened. Was at up in Garfield. I believe it's just one of those weird pings. I'd say that Barry probably disabled. I'd say on his phone, you have pings from his phone, and then you have a ping from her phone. I think his phone and her phone were the same, all at one device with two different SIM cards.
Well, wasn't there a point at 4 a.m. or something they were saying that Barry's phone and her phone pinged right by where the bike was?
No, further up, near the helmet actually, and further on up along the 226. If you went
Oh,
up
okay. I thought it was close to where they found the bike.
well, it's not far. It's less than a mile. If you where Barry was parked, you know, there's a barrier across there.
Hang on, I'm going to go to it. I'll bring up Google Earth again.
You know where Barry parks his truck?
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up. Hang on.
Yeah, if you walk, he said, oh, she takes that trail sometimes. She's been up there a few times. Well, that's a washed out road.
Well, there's two places because. Okay, hang on. Let me get to it here. Oh, let me share it.
The 226 is the one is directly past. Instead of going around to Puma, you go straight on.
So, there's Garfield.
Yeah, if you zoom in where the bike is found now.
Okay, hang on.
No, go back to the right.
Hang on a sec. I gotta over here.
That's it. Yeah.
The bike was found right here.
Yeah. So the road, the 226 is parallel to the 50 more or less.
The bike was found right here.
Yeah. So that little road, see, it's that little
the 225.
No, the 226. That's the 226. That one there.
Yeah, that washed out road is pretty much non-existent, but it is a road.
This one here?
It's
that's the 226. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the 226.
Oh yeah, it turns into 22. Oh yeah, bike helmet found right there.
Bike helmet. Now, if you go on a little bit further past the pond there, just up here, this is roughly where the pings were. You're going too far now, but this is where the pings were, and it's not far from where the shirt was found.
It's also not far from where Shoshana's ex-fiance lives.
No, you're going the other way.
No, that's the other way.
No, she's in Maysville.
Oh, the other way. Never mind.
No, this.
Never mind. No, I was just talking about the road.
If you just
Well, I
go
know
to
they
the-
searched.
Yeah.
I know they searched this
Yeah.
reservoir here, and
If you
that's
go on-
where there's a dead end here too, because there's another little road that comes down here that turns into a dead end. It stops there.
So just along there, just say, for instance, left of where you have a pin there. You have a pin in the
Yeah,
map.
just left
So
here.
left of there. So roughly around 410, 413, 418. There's pings just there, right?
Okay, I thought it was
And
by. So it's by where the bike helmet was found, not by where
past
the bike was found.
heading towards Garfield.
Yeah.
There, where your cursor is now. Where
I
your
don't have
cursor is
that.
there, roughly there.
Yeah, I had said something about this road too. It
No.
looked like you could have pulled off, but it's blocked off, I believe, now here. Let's go down here. I think this is blocked off now. You can't get up there. I think there's a gate of some kind.
Yeah, I'm a guest.
Oh, where the hell did that go? Let's get way the hell down here. Let's go back down. Because here's that road, and I think they've got it blocked off now with a gate of some. No, that's not it.
No, you're
Where the
thinking
hell
of.
did I go?
I think you're thinking of the mine.
I think I'm thinking farther up.
Yeah.
Because it was on the left-hand
Madonna
side.
mine. Madonna mine. I think you're thinking of.
Yeah, whoops, I'm going the wrong way. Let's
No,
turn back so I'm orientated. Because the home is over here. There was another road on the way to Garfield. Is it this one? Nope. There was another road coming off here that you used to be able to get up, but now they've got it. Is it? No.
that's Garfield there. That's
that's
Garfield where you are now.
Yeah,
Right.
I missed it. So it must be gone now because this is 2024.
There is
But
a
there
little
was-
mine there. There's a little mine there.
Yeah.
This,
But
just
there was
and there's a gate there. That's the gate.
at the mine, right here.
Just there, yeah. There's a gate into that mine, yeah. See out the street there? Click on the street there, and you see a gate there.
Yeah.
Turn around.
Nope.
Turn around. Keep going. Yeah, go back a bit.
Right
There's
there.
a gate. There's a gate in there if that's what
Yeah,
you're on
but
about.
that's not the same one that I was
No,
thinking.
no, turn right now. Spin the camera around. There's a gate. There's a gate across there. It's opened. The gate is open. Sorry. Go back left. Now zoom in a bit further. There's a gate across that. Don't. Probably
This is
see the
August
gate there.
2024.
But the gate is there, but it's just opened. You know, there's people still working on that mine. That's
But
called.
this isn't the road that I was thinking about. There was another one. I don't know why I had looked at it.
Well, there's another one down to Madonna Mine, down to the Madonna Mine, which is up past, further on up.
Yeah,
There.
I think I've gone too far. Yeah,
No,
right
keep
here.
going,
But
sorry. Further on up. Sorry, further on up. And that's got a big gate across it as well.
Are you talking, Willow? Are you talking about the road that when you're going west, like that side?
no, it was on
the
this
left.
side.
Another
Yeah.
one of the left hand side
That's the
ones.
Madonna Mine there.
Yeah.
That's the Madonna Mine. See all that?
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I see it.
gravel, the sand. That's the Madonna
Yeah.
Mine.
But that's not what I wish I could find. I should have damn well. Because there's the Garfield mine. But
Yeah.
there was another one that I had seen.
There is a mine just there. I know there is. There's loads of mines actually.
No,
Loads.
I will recognize it when I
Yeah.
see it because it was a road that came up like this, up into the mountain kind of, but it stopped.
No, you're going into the valley there. On the left
Yeah.
is going down the valley. On the right is going up the mountain.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to find that road and I can't find it now.
But the high ground is on the right and the low ground is on the left.
Yeah.
That's it. 3D. Hit 3D.
Yeah. It was right off this road. It was similar, very similar to
And what are we looking
something
for
like
then?
this, but it was going the other way. Maybe it's here.
That's the runoff for the trucks. You know, to stall them down.
Yeah, I know. But it was something like this, where it came up like this, and when I went to Street View, there was a gate across it, and it went like this, just like this one is here.
Yeah, could be
But
that.
it led to nowhere. It stopped, and I can't see it on this one. This is in 2024, so I don't know.
But anyway, getting back to those pings. So you had a couple of pings there from Barry's phone at 4, 10, 4, 4:12, I think 4:14 maybe. And then next thing you had the one at 4:23. So then Barry's phone is shut off at 4:32.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying to myself, this is Barry's realized, or he's shutting off his phone. He's probably realizes his phone is updating or something like that, you know, and or a ping in his pocket made a noise, and he's shut it off, you know.
I almost think he threw that helmet from here.
From up above.
Yeah.
I think he done. I think he done it from down below.
You think so?
Like if he's down there, if his phone is pinging right down there past the helmet, why? I don't see any reason for him to drive up that road. And people were saying, "Oh, he drove up to Garfield and blah blah blah," and I'm saying, "No, he said that, but I wouldn't believe a word he said."
Right.
I'm saying that the bike, he would have dropped the bike off at 5 o'clock in the morning, because you don't want to drop the bike off before it's time to leave. Do you understand me?
Right.
You want
Right.
to be gone when after that bike, in case somebody came across it.
Yeah. I used to be able to see this a lot better.
Yeah, and I think that if he did toss the helmet from the truck, he would have turned around and been tossing it on his way back down to go to, yeah.
But if
I
he's
think,
going towards Garfield, throwing it out the driver's side window, because if you look at that area, hang on, let's go back. I'm getting myself all messed up. If you're driving, you know what I mean? If you're driving like this towards Garfield and you heave it down into these trees thinking it's never going to be found there, I'm just going to heave it down this big hill here into the trees. Nobody will ever see it.
He wanted
That's
him
what
to
I
see
was
it.
thinking.
I
He
don't
wanted
think that
him
was
to.
his intention, though. I think that he
Paper
wanted
trail.
it to be found.
Yeah,
To look,
100%.
he was staging things all along, but he wasn't doing it very well.
Or to say somebody took her and then took off this way and then
Yeah,
realized her bike
100%.
helmet, got to get rid of it.
So he's this is what I'm saying. He's leaving the crumbs. This is what he does
And
all
that's
the
why
time.
that's why they searched this waterway here.
They searched everywhere. They searched everywhere down there.
And that might
Because
actually
the bike,
be
then the helmet, is this where Suzanne is? But it was not to be. Oops.
and him agreeing that he turned left, because they didn't actually have anything showing that he turned left. Him
But he
agreeing
agreed
that
to
he
it.
turned left might have been more of him wanting them to look over there and stuff, because I think that blue shirt that Kurt found, I think that was also planted. That was part of his story.
Yeah.
And that, because he was telling everyone that she was wearing a blue shirt when she went cycling.
Oh, she's a matcher.
But then her remains are found with the shirt and the pants. Well, wait a minute. With no decomp on them at all.
Yeah. And it's not blue. It's her sweatshirt with the Creststone sweatshirt.
That she had in the picture of her in the kitchen there.
Like that little dirt road is 0.7 of a mile from the house, from Puma.
The what?
And
the 226, the dirt washed out road it's 0.7 of a mile from where like the bike is 0.7 of a mile. Let's put it that way. That area is 0.7 of a mile from the property.
Right.
Somebody asked in the chat.
I hate this. Come on.
I hope.
Length. I want miles. Come on. No, it's not going to show me.
It should do. Just click on it and then. Oh, right. Maybe.
Yeah, so I got to get rid of this and then I got to do it again. But I hate it because it's not showing me initially in miles.
I know. I have to click into it afterwards.
Let's take that off.
I hate change. They've changed that thing.
Me too, because I just get it. It takes me 2 years to figure it out, and they screw that up. So it's 0.43 miles as a crow flies from the home to the bike. Then, if you want to go from where the bike was found, as the crow flies, 0.67 miles to where the helmet was found.
Oh yeah, I was thinking
That's where,
it's
but
mileage. Road miles is 0.7 of a mile. That's what it is.
from the home, as the crow flies, it's 1.1 miles to the helmet.
Yeah, well, from the bike to the helmet, it's 0.8 of a mile
Yeah. From the bike, hang on.
to the helmet.
From the bike to the helmet, 0.67 miles.
0.6. Oh, I can't
Oh,
see.
I could be a little off. I'm just eyeballing it here.
All right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the helmet could have been over here or over here.
Oh, the
This is
helmet was very close to the 50. You have it down on the trail. It was up.
yeah.
It was only
Well,
10
that's what I
meters.
mean. It's in this area
Yeah.
where they found the helmet. I'm
No,
not good with coordinates, so
it was actually it was further up. Actually, it is further up towards the pond a little bit as well. Yeah,
up here.
it's up that way. It's actually where there's a slip road because it's ideal for if he wanted to do a U-turn. I was thinking to myself, if he
Oh,
wanted to
right
do a
here.
U-turn, no, you can't. No, on the 50, I'm talking about.
Oh, on the 50.
Yeah, there's a slipway
There's
off
like
it.
right here. He could do a
Yeah,
U-turn right here and go
yeah,
back.
and then just toss it out. But I don't believe he did. I believe he brought the items that he wanted to plant, which would have been some part, something of our clothing he would have brought from the house, dragged it along the ground for the scent for the bloodhounds to follow, crossed the creek, the South Arkansas, then walked down the 226 with the helmet, plant that. Then he went down with the blue shirt, and probably he might have had her iPad as well. And so
And
he's
wasn't her
planted these
journal
items.
found burnt in the fireplace, like the binding from it?
There was, yeah,
Like if somebody's going to kidnap you, they're not going back to the
no,
house, grabbing your journal and burning it in the
yeah.
fire pit.
The person,
And
like a stranger's not going to go around and say, "Oh, I better hide all the evidence that she's been writing stuff
right,
about me, and I better hide the Al-Anon book because I wrote in it. What
yeah,
else? I better take all the cameras down." Do you know?
right.
Yeah.
This is not a stranger doing this. I mean, this is personal. You
It
know what I mean?
is, and it's somebody very
Mhm.
close. We know
So
who it
these
is.
things will come out in court. You know what I mean? All these things will come out in court because the circumstantial is massive. But I think there's stuff on the phone that I know since we spoke. What came out in the indictment was about they know now that he was switching on and off his telematics, but they
Mhm.
only think it's happened on Sunday. You know, it
Right,
happened other days as well.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what happened? It happened from like Thursday. It was because he was up to no good on Thursday. I think he was going off to see Show. He went off to what's his name's George Davis's gym in the evening time. But I think that evening then he stayed out. I'd say he stayed with Show that night.
I don't think he came home Thursday night,
No, he didn't come home
and that's
Thursday
what
night.
I
He
that
did.
that's what I think really pissed her off. And Susan Allen says he wanted the bike and the helmet. I think he attacked her while she was in her swimmers. She was never in her swimmers.
No. She'd never know swimmers. No.
Like you got to realize, like there's texts that they've got from Suzanne's phone around the 9th, 10th, especially the 10th, that he's trying to say are Suzanne and they're not. They're him. The same as adding the Facebook people, the guys on Facebook. That was Barry. That wasn't
Yeah.
Suzanne. That was Barry doing all that to make it look like it was Suzanne.
On the Friday, there's two calls after Barry goes home at 12 o'clock, at noon from work. And I know this because I've done the mileage on his truck. He leaves Tailwinds at 11:30 and he drives out to Puma Path. And her phone then is he arrives back at work then at 1 o'clock. So he's up there for an hour and a half.
Well, isn't that when he said that she made me a nice bowl of soup or
No,
whatever
no,
that
no,
was?
no. That was the Saturday veggie soup. He said, and then,
Okay.
but the veggie soup was the Thursday. She texted him and said, "A veggie soup."
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
He went to the
When
gym.
was the shared plate?
Yeah, that was the
That
Saturday.
was supposed to be Saturday night. That
Saturday,
they shared a steak or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that never happened either. But what was I saying there? Oh yeah, so
I think she was already gone.
she was gone.
Oh, yeah.
She was gone. She was incapacitated. Let's put it that way. We don't know when she was dead, but we know she was incapacitated shortly after he left Tailwinds, because as soon as he got home, he would have had to go in there and shut her up straight away, stop her from phoning the police or friends or screaming for help, even though nobody's here. But
Yeah.
he had to shut her up immediately. And yeah, I'd say there was a bit of a struggle.
When do you think he incapacitated her?
At noon on Friday. Within 10 minutes either way of noon on Friday.
I thought it was later in the afternoon on Friday, but
no, because he was back at work. And when they were saying that she was down at Tailwinds and that, she wasn't. He had her phone. He had her phone, her actual phone. So when he got back down to Tailwinds at 1 o'clock, then he drove from Tailwinds to the job site down by the river. And then as soon as he gets there, who does he ring? He rings himself from Suzanne's phone.
Yeah.
And then
and that's why there was a thing going around. Oh, that's where she's buried in the rocks there, and they wanted to dig up the rocks.
Dog was hit down there, and that a lot of things.
But the dog hit down there. Don't forget, because what's her name? What's the female that worked with him? Morgan. He gave Morgan rakes and shovels and everything to smooth that area out. If he had used them rocks or rocks, if he had used any of those tools or any of those tools came in contact with Suzanne, her scent could have been left there.
Exactly. And not only that,
so
what did if he was in contact with Suzanne, if they'd done what I just said earlier on then by the river with Suzanne on Friday night, right? And he got some of that on his boots, and then he jumped into his bobcat, and then was down walking down on that beach side,
right,
with the bobcat.
And did the old lady say she heard machinery late at night down there too?
Well, look, I that doesn't fit him with anything. Honest to God, that doesn't fit him, and none of the mileage, none of
so it had nothing to do with that. I didn't know whatever came of that.
No, but there could have been noise there or whatever, but I don't think it was him, to be honest. But I lost my track there now.
With getting the stuff on his boots in the truck and walking down there.
No, I'm just saying that on the Friday, her phone doesn't ring at all, right? Basically, he calls himself at 2 o'clock, basically 2:15 or 2:13, I think it is, and then later on in while he's on that same site, he calls himself again from her phone, and there's no time. Do you know what I mean? There's no a conversation. It's just a phone call, because he phones somebody else then, or takes another call. It's crazy, but he's not thinking right. He's using one phone, then he's using the other phone, and there's seconds between the calls, if you get me.
Yep.
So he's calling other people, and then he's receiving a call from her, all in a bunch of calls all at the same time. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So he's doing
he overdid it. He overdid it with that.
Overdid it, 100%. And
it's like, especially when you look at their history, that's never been like that ever.
No, they weren't talking.
Yeah,
they hadn't been talking for months.
Like, she was done. She didn't care what he was doing anymore.
No, didn't care.
You
He
know,
couldn't be
so
doing it. He could have been doing it on the sofa in the house. He couldn't give a shit. You know what I
right.
mean?
And it's like all of a sudden, like he wants us to believe that all of a sudden they're having these conversations back and
No,
forth right
no.
around the time she goes missing, right around the time it's in her text. I'm done. I don't care what you're doing. I'm done.
Do you know what's a great thing? The fact that the case was dismissed and
Hmm.
people have been working on this case for a long time, even
Yeah,
though, and there's so much more has been revealed. And if that had gone to court, a lot of this stuff wouldn't have been available.
right. And
And
that's
there's
why I
still
said I'm
more.
glad this time that
Yeah,
they got their
a
ducks in
lot
a
more.
row. Like they're not doing. They were not going to rearrest him because this is their last shot. As far as I'm concerned, this is their last shot. And they were not going to mess it up this time. They were going to make sure they had every duck in a row. And it's like, here you go in a nice, neat little package. Yes, we still got to transcribe the grand jury, but you've got the recording of it. Here, Your Honor. They walked right up. Here, Your Honor. It's on a flash drive. Here you go. We're going to get the transcript. That'll take a couple days for them to get the transcript done. But here it is on flash drive for you, Your Honor,
Yeah.
because the
And
defense is asking for the judge to go over it to make sure she feels there's still enough evidence to bring him to trial. And then he has the audacity, okay, well, when we come back for this status update on September 2nd, we're going to address bond at that time. Wait, you're indigent, you need the state to pay your lawyers, but you want to address this bond of 3 million cash only, not property, not nothing, not your word, 3 million cash. And you want to address that on the second. Like, Mallory, come on, girl, get selling stuff,
Yeah.
get some money together, because we can come up with how much, Mallory, how much money can we come up with? Right? Or
and
we
I
can just,
bet he's already figured that out and planned that out
oh, absolutely. Well,
and has Mallory knowing what to do and everything
well,
already before he was ever arrested.
I think that it was discussed. I don't think they thought it was going to come this quick, right?
I don't think they did
From
either.
he knew it was coming, obviously, to put everything in Mallory's name. He knew it was
Mhm.
coming. He couldn't trust Macy, as far as I'm concerned.
But you're
That's
too young
why.
anyway. I just think logistically, Macy was too young, and if he went to Macy, wouldn't Mallory be saying, "Hold on, I'm the older daughter here. I should be doing this." You know what I mean?
If you want my
Logistically,
honest opinion, Martin, I think logistically, this was his best move. Was everything is under Mallory, so
I know, and I
Mallory could
agree with you that way.
still control Macy. Macy, you shut your mouth, or you ain't getting another red penny.
Mm.
It's still a way of control. He's got that
Oh, he has
control as if
control.
he
Yeah,
was still on the street, because he's doing it
yeah,
now through Mallory. And
yeah.
Mallory, I think Mallory knows. I said it. There you go.
Oh,
You can
Mallory
beat me
knows.
up
Yeah.
in the chat. I don't care. I think
No,
Mallory knows.
look, if they don't know, I
Macy, I'm not so sure. Like, I think
we
Macy has a
know.
very
I'm
good
just saying
idea,
to
but I
you.
think Macy's still being brainwashed and she's being threatened. You shut your mouth about anything that you think is suspicious. You shut your mouth, or you ain't getting another red penny. And I'm in control of everything. You know
Or
what I
Well,
mean?
Macy's talking.
What's that?
I said, or Macy's talking.
Yeah, if
maybe,
Macy talks, ooh.
maybe,
But
yeah.
this is Barry's way of still controlling Macy, Macy through Mallory, because Mallory holds everything now. She's got every red penny in her name. Properties, money,
Mallory,
vehicles, everything is in
Ma-
Mallory's name,
Mallory want
Yeah.
to be careful that Macy's not visiting her. Do you know what I mean?
right?
You know what
But
I
I
mean?
mean, Macy's got options, and there's ways that she can go about. Um,
That's a good question.
s- I don't
Hmm.
want to say too much, man.
I know.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get eaten up in the chat, but
No, it's easy to say things, but look, sometimes things come out because you're passionate, and that's how you feel. And we're all allowed to feel a certain way. I
yeah,
I I know very careful of what I say because I, I have to base it on facts. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because
Well, that's what I
you,
do too. So I got to be careful
yeah,
what putting my thoughts and feelings and whatever into it. That's why I try and shut my mouth sometimes, but sometimes it's hard. Very outspoken, but there's things that I variably believe, but I can't. They're not verified. It's just that's why I
no,
make it clear. This is my thoughts and my thoughts alone. I do believe that Macy is being controlled by the almighty dollar because how old is she now? 18?
oh
What is
no,
she
older than that.
doing
She's
now? Like,
18, 21. She's 20,
is she
21,
Or now.
21?
Yeah.
21, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, 20. But still, it's
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, what is she doing with her life? What kind of job does she have? Does she still rely on her dad to help support her? And if she does, then that's what's controlling her.
Um,
Does she have enough resources to be able to say, you know what, I'm not shutting up any longer? Does she have resources to continue to be able to live if she comes out and speaks? Is she afraid something could happen to her?
and
But
see,
isn't,
those
but
are all very valid things. And also, I would say that, you know, Mallory could even be being controlled by, like, she could actually know what happened and she's collaborating with her dad out of fear. That could be too. And the thing is that these girls have been groomed from a very
Yeah.
young age.
yeah.
And I don't necessarily mean, in
Oh,
a
I know.
cruel.
Yeah.
No, in
Yeah.
financial ways and ways to
Yeah.
for Barry to
Yeah.
brainwash them into
And
thinking things that aren't true.
Suzanne said one of her regrets was that she didn't call it grooming, but she said one of her regrets was that she had done that. She had allowed Barry to be put up on this big old pedestal,
Yeah.
and Barry was using so many different forms of domestic abuse on
Yeah,
Suzanne, financial and stuff, but also religious. He was using the Bible to hammer into her that she needed to, like, obey him. He's the boss of everything, and what he said is, that's it. Don't question it. Don't give a second thought. And that's how the girls were raised. And Barry told them that, but so did their mom.
yeah.
Don't question dad. He's
And you notice when questions started being asked, and Suzanne got a backbone and said, "I'm not living like this no more." Look what happened.
Yeah.
Because Barry knew he lost control of her.
Yes.
So the only
100%.
two he can control now is Mallory and Macy, and I think he's using Mallory to control Macy because I think Macy,
Yeah.
and this is just my personal opinion, I believe if either one of those girls are going to ever speak the truth, it's going to be Macy.
That's my belief as well. And just going with the statistics of, this has happened in other families, and unfortunately this has happened in other families, and there is a pattern, and usually that's what happens, is that the older sibling, if they're bonded with the abuser, the older sibling will also be an abuser, a co-abuser.
Right. And also abuse the younger sister and,
Yes.
try to brainwash like her dad was doing. And it's like, if we remember correctly, don't forget that, Barry would call the girls out, girls, I need you down here. Listen to this craziness your mother's saying, so he really, really tried to drive home, your mom has lost her mind.
But
These
dragging them
things
into
aren't
it,
Yes.
true.
even dragging them into
The
uh,
fights.
the fights is just crazy.
Right.
Uh, that's abuse. He's abusing everyone there.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
And
All
this is
sides.
just reinforcing his hang on, sorry. It's just reinforcing for him to say, girls, come and see this. He's now wait a minute. You didn't see the whole thing. You didn't He worked her up to get her looking like a crazy woman. My
Yeah,
ex did the same thing to me. He'd get me worked up and then he calls somebody, listen to her.
yeah,
Like, you MF, like you got me this way, and now you're calling foul? It's like you're one sick son of a you know what. And
yeah,
that's what I think he did is he wound her up and then involve the girls, come and see this. So they could start really questioning, like, what the hell? You know, which reinforced what he was telling them.
Yes.
You know what I
Plus with
mean?
plus with the whole using mental illness as a thing, oh look, your mom's nuts and things like that. That would also make them even when there wasn't an argument going on, just kind of not
There's a good point there from
respect their mom, not
Yeah.
JDR.
Totally,
not
like,
pay attention.
separate themselves from it. It's like, oh, it's just another crazy argument.
See, Macy
Mhm.
would be at risk of totally alienation if she was to say anything good about her mother to
Suzanne.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
and I can see that. I've seen that in other families. And unfortunately, that is what happens. Is that another form of abuse is that the abuser goes and turns the kids against the other parent. So then the other parent is stuck, not having anybody.
And it's
I
the
don't
same,
I don't
like
think that
Baby Doll.
Suzanne, sorry.
Baby Doll just made a comment here. Macy has Suzanne's family waiting for her with open arms. But you got to realize Barry's also brainwashed them against Suzanne's family
Yeah,
and said
100%.
really horrible, terrible
Yeah,
things, that they've got the girls turned against Suzanne's
yeah.
family, thinking that they were out to get her and all this stuff, and that they caused a lot of problems and they were the cause of a lot of issues that Barry and Suzanne were having. They brainwashed these girls against
100%.
Suzanne's
Yeah.
family because they don't forget Barry's got to isolate to keep his narrative and his narrative of what's going on and what has gone on. He's got to keep that narrative and them believing his narrative and nobody else's, for them to be able to maybe sit and talk with Suzanne's family, like on her side of the family. He would risk them seeing, well, wait a minute, that's not what dad said. Dad said this, and they could find out that that's totally not true. So he had to turn them against her family and alienate them, so there was no risk of any truth or his lies being exposed.
But you
Exactly.
see, the secret of the affair would have hit them really hard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, there's no two ways about it. You know what I mean? Because you trust your parents and all that, and then you find out this is a massive thing. You know what I mean? Even though the reason for it is because the father was abusing her. Do you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
She was pushed away and whatever. But and I don't actually think that Suzanne would have ran off into the sunset with Libra.
No.
I
No.
just think that was kind of that was helping her get free.
Right.
And I think
It
she
was
was
giving her
kind of,
something to look forward to
yeah,
instead
kind of
of,
bit,
you know,
but
and I'm not
I think
saying that in a way where she was gonna, leave Barry that night and go to him. I'm saying
no,
it gave her some kind of normalcy in her day throughout the couple of years that this affair was going on. This was somebody who cared, that showed her respect and love, and that she wasn't getting at home. It was even if it was a half hour out of every day that she got that love and respect that she was looking for from her husband. You know what I mean? That she
Yeah.
got from somebody else, and it filled that void. You know what I mean? I think somewhere down the line, if she would have been able to get away from Barry, I think somewhere down the line she would have wanted to try and have a relationship with Jeff Libler, but I don't think Jeff ever had intentions of leaving his family and his wife, if you want my honest opinion.
no, no.
Yeah. I don't
I
think
think
Jeff.
I think this was safe for him because she
It
was
was
married and she was so far away, and that spark from childhood or
yeah,
teenage
yeah.
years or whatever. I think it was he was getting something from the relationship that he wasn't getting at home, and she was getting something from that relationship that she wasn't getting at home. But I don't think that was a relationship that was ever going to come to
No,
fruition, like let's get
no,
married and all this that they were talking about. I think that was
no.
just more like a coddling of each other. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't think that would have ever came to fruition, but who knows? We'll
Who
never
knows
know.
exactly?
We'll
Right.
never know.
And I think that even on the spy pen, I think she said although I'm not sure if that's where I got this piece of information, but I do recall it being said, seeing it in print, that she said to Jeff that she wasn't leaving Barry because of Jeff. That she was doing
I
this
think
for
she was
herself.
leaving.
No.
I
She was
think it
doing
was
for
for
herself.
herself anyway,
Yeah.
regardless of Libler. Like he could have
Yeah.
stopped talking to her, and she was still. I'm done.
Like Macy wanted Suzanne to move
She was going back
in
to
with
her
her.
family. That's what she was doing.
Well, Macy wanted Suzanne to move in with her in downtown Salida, and that they get jobs and whatever like that, and they just live together in a small
Yeah.
apartment or something. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Macy knew what was going on more so than Mallory knew.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
So-
but when Macy was confronted with that in the interview, she denied it all.
Oh, of course you did.
And it's
Of course
like,
she did.
okay, wait a minute,
'Cause
Macy.
that
Look
was-
at, we've already seen it in print. We've seen the text messages and everything. How are you sitting there lying and denying it? It's Barry. You better deny that it never happened. It wasn't you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was your
yeah.
mom with your phone saying
Yeah.
that, like
And
texting
for
herself.
the extra scariness against her is the fact that interview took place like right after the charges were dropped or
Right.
dismissed against him. And so she's sitting there going, okay, my dad's going to be
He's
free
out now.
forever. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a frightening thought, isn't it? That's why I
Yeah.
said
Saying that Jeff should have called the police. No, Jeff wasn't going to out himself. Jeff was concerned about himself and about his relationship with his wife. He was hoping that it would never be found out.
Yeah. And,
if he
and
gets
much as
locked
I
up for
love
the rest of his life,
as much as I love who Suzanne is and what she represents and everything, I will say that the poor gal had a poor choice in men, and she had a type.
Yeah.
They're both,
Oh, yeah.
They're both that way.
Well, Barry apparently confronted Jeff Libler back in the day.
He did, yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I read that.
And Jeff was clever enough to turn around and say, "You lose everything. You lose your job and blah blah blah."
Everything, yeah.
And
that was on a golf course. A golf course that Barry was working at, I think.
Yeah, he was working. That's right beside Suzanne's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
House back at that golf course.
Yeah, Suzanne and Jeff.
That was way back in the day, you guys. For you guys listening, we're talking about way back in the day.
Yeah.
And Suzanne and Jeff were both from families that, they were members of the golf club and everything. And Barry was a worker there. He was a
greenkeeper,
groundskeeper, groundskeeper guy. Yeah. And that's also a window into seeing how Barry is with money, because he swallowed his pride and everything. He walked away without fighting with Jeff at the thought of losing his money.
Yeah. Barry really didn't have a lot until he got with Suzanne.
Right.
As in
like money wise, like her family.
I don't know. I think he did, because he grew up and he had a bit of land that was left to him, and
he inherited. I'm talking about back in the day. They didn't have a lot of money when he was growing up, I don't think. I know he had a sports car and this and that, but I think that was just very superficial. Deep down, I think that they were in financial troubles. Now, I remember reading that somewhere, but I don't remember where. I'd have to get in my old computer. But I remember seeing something that they were having some financial difficulties. And Barry wanted away from that. I'm talking about his family back when they were younger.
Yeah.
He didn't want that to affect his status that he had of this. He was almost like the ones that the girls in high school and college idolized. And, he was the jock and he was this and he was that. And he didn't want to be brought down by some kind of financial struggles that his parents were facing or something. I remember something along them lines. And Suzanne was also a step up for him.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I see a lovely photo of Suzanne and Sheila Oliver. when they were in college, early days.
I think you can bring it up on the screen.
It's I don't have it. It's on. I seen it on Sheila's
Oh, okay.
X, but it's a lovely photograph. And Suzanne is really. She only looks like she's about 14 years of age. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I've
So
seen some younger pictures of her too, and she was.
no, she wasn't. No, she wasn't 14 at this because she was going to college with Sheila at that time. But she
Yeah,
only looked at age. You know what I mean?
she
She looked
looked young.
very, very young. Yeah.
She still looked young.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, like she was a
Yeah.
beautiful woman.
Yeah.
I mean, I think any woman looking at Suzanne will say, "Oh my God, you should have been a model." You know, like
Yeah.
she was a pretty woman, even for being up in her late 40s. Whatever 50 or whatever she was,
49. 49.
49, almost 50. She did not look. I see some of the pictures in her little black dresses where she's got her back turned, she's got her arm
Oh
around each of
yeah.
the girls, pictures with her girls in her little dresses and everything. Like she looks like she could be like
One of the girls. Yeah.
one of the girls.
Yeah.
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 Like she
Yeah.
looked damn good for her age. She aged well. A lot of people say I don't look nowhere near 60. Well, I'm 61 now, and it's funny because I went out for lunch with my daughter, and the waitress thought me and her were sisters, and my daughter's 42, and they thought we were sisters. Like I was impressed. My daughter, not so much, but I was impressed. And she kind of looked at the waitress because I said something to her like, I forget what I said to her, and she went, "Mom." And the waitress like stopped and turned around and said, "What? What did you just say?" She's, "No, I was talking to my mom." She's, "That's your mom? I thought you guys were sisters." Like without even thinking what she was saying, my daughter was so pissed. Like you could see it in her face. It's like, well, hey, you got my genes. Like me and her, you could tell we're mother and daughter. And it's like, look at in another 20 years, you're still gonna look 40. Shut the frig up. She says, "No, that's saying I look 60. No, it's not." Oh shit. But my cousins say it all the time. Don't you ever age? It's the oil of Olay. I don't use that shit, but anyway.
Yeah. When you think of all the money that Suzanne inherited, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Well, her
Barry
money bought the
basically,
Puma path home.
yeah. And well, the other one was up for sale. And
Indiana.
the big house that was about, I think it was about 840,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money as well.
Well, that's what he got the power of attorney for, so he could still go through with the deal that was on the table when Suzanne
Yes.
went missing.
Missing. Yeah.
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 So
When you
he
think
got the
about it.
money from that. Then he sold the Puma path for what, 1.645 million. Then he bought Longhorn, sold it, and took a $10,000 loss on that.
Yeah, and the GoFundMe money,
The GoFundMe
35,000.
money. Yeah.
Was it 35 or something?
But anyway, you guys, I think we should wrap it up. It's been
Yeah.
3 hours,
Wow.
and my stomach is
goes
saying,
by.
"Bitch, where's my dinner?"
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, but we'll get together again, and hopefully the next time Kurt will. He's worried
Yeah.
about. I'll tell you exactly what he said to me. He said, hang on, let me get to my messages. This is how selfless this guy is. Okay, I said, "No, I want you there," right? He says, "I don't wish to bring drama your way. Not me specifically, but my presence upsets," and I'll leave the names out. I think you know who I'm talking about, Martin.
Yeah, I know.
And so, and a few others. Barry, too. I'd hate for people to give you a difficult time. And I went, "Bro, you should know me by now." Absolutely not. We're a team, and I have your back 100%, as I know he has mine and yours and Jules and
Yes.
everybody else that we're a family, and
Yeah.
we've stuck together thick and thin. No matter what anybody said, we have stuck together. We've seen some people come and go that we distance ourselves from, but us four, especially 5, have stuck together. And it's like, no, I don't give a shit what people have to say. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I know Martin's heart. I know Kurt's heart. I know Jules' heart. I know Brandon's heart. Like, no. No, and nobody's going to change my mind. And if you want to come at me, because Canadians are very polite, but you will see a side of me you never want to see again. But
Yeah,
we
and-
did this
I
with
think we
the
can all be like that.
we
That's
did
for
this
sure.
with the best intentions, and
Mm.
I don't give a shit what anybody says. And to try to disparage my brother the way that they did is sickening. You got to take a good look at yourself in the mirror to say that he was
Yeah.
doing this because he wanted to be with Suzanne. Like, you sick Fs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know his heart. Martin,
Yeah. And
Jules,
they've said
and
so much crap about him that
yeah.
it makes me
How dare
sick.
you? How dare you?
And
Don't, and especially you want to come on my channel and do it. I would probably have, I don't know, but no, I would not be the Willow that everybody knows and loves or hates, whatever.
and and all I know is that I'm going to be less reserved than I was before, and I already wasn't very reserved. But
Yeah.
now that I'm divorced, I don't have a family to protect or anything like that. So
Yeah.
coming
Well, we
out
call it
young.
the way we see it, and it's
Yep.
like you can love us or hate us, but you know what? Keep an open mind, because the deep, like I'm still mind blown by some of the things that I go over when I do find them in my cloud and everything that Martin and Kurt did with this tracking and everything. It's like I'm mind blown.
Yeah.
And they got to remember that all of us did this with the best intentions. There was no malice. We wanted justice for Suzanne, and we are going to get it.
Yeah.
Regardless of who comes in and tries to disparage and everything else, you're not going to stop us. So carry on with, whatever type of life you have, that you've got to try and disparage people that are trying to do good in this world. You got to take a good look at yourself, because it's not a reflection of us. It's a reflection of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So with that being said, we're going to wrap it up. Jules, love you, girl. Martin,
Love you too.
love you. You guys are family, and like I said, I hope Kurt joins us the next time, because there will be a next time. We're not going away.
Yes.
We're not going away.
We're a
No,
bunch of
So,
siblings, and we're not going to go away. And don't go attacking anybody, especially our brother that you have been. I can't even about how
no
awful
words.
they've been
No
to him.
words.
Yeah.
No words. Yeah.
But the
But,
poison dwarf, as I call them.
yeah, that's it. But we're here. We're not going nowhere. And I hope Tube Crime can join us at some point, and Kurt. And I'm going to leave it in Kurt's hands. He knows how I feel. I got his back 1,000,000%. And I know Martin and Jules and Brandon does. And I mean, give her, because we've taken worse, but I will not allow it here. You will be gone. You will be gone. Okay, so thank you, Jules. Thank you, Martin, for joining and giving the info that you guys have. Jules, you're right there in the action, in the area. Martin, I can't thank you enough for everything that you guys have done. You guys are just amazing human beings, and I respect you and love you guys like family. And I hope we can do this again real soon.
I love
So I'll give you, Martin. I'll give you the last word, Martin.
No, just thanks for bringing us on, and you've got great people in the chat there. Loads of friends and friendly faces.
Great people, great
Great
subscribers.
people, yeah. So you should have no problems,
Yeah. Okay.
Until the next time.
Until the next time, you guys.
I'm in touch anyway. Okay.
Yes.
God bless,
Thank
folks.
you. Okay.
Bye-bye.
And I'll end it, you guys, like I always do. Please take care of yourselves. Please stay safe. Always be aware of your surroundings. So watch who you trust. When you see red flags, question them. I love you guys to the moon and back. Bye-bye for now.